As the great Buddha once wisely said, peace comes from within. Do not seek it without. Imagine beginning your morning not with the blaring chaos of alarms, the rush of scattered thoughts, or the heavy shadow of yesterday's mistakes, but instead with the soft rhythm of your breath, the quiet steadiness of your heart, and a gentle smile that greets the new day. Every dawn offers you this choice: to let the noise of the world pull you into its turbulence, or to root yourself in the unshakable stillness within. The very first thoughts you speak to yourself upon waking are not small. They are the seeds that shape the soil of your entire day. If you water your morning with worry, frustration, or regret, you will see those emotions reflected in every moment that follows. But if you begin with mindful, compassionate, and wise reminders, you carry an inner peace that no obstacle can shake. Today, I will share with you 5 deeply Buddhist-inspired affirmations to tell yourself each morning gentle truths that are more than mere words. They are living seeds of calm that, when nurtured, will grow roots so deep that even the fiercest storms cannot uproot them. 1. I am alive, and this moment is a gift. When you first open your eyes in the morning, before the thoughts of yesterday's troubles or today's to-do list rush in, pause for a moment. Place your hand gently over your chest and feel the steady rhythm of your heartbeat. Notice the rise and fall of your breath. These simple, ordinary sensations are not ordinary at all. They are proof that life is still moving through you. In Buddhist teachings, to be born as a human is considered a rare and precious gift, something so uncommon and valuable that it should never be wasted. The very fact that you have woken up today means you have been given yet another chance to experience, to learn, to love, to grow, and to walk the path toward greater peace and understanding. Too often, we take this gift for granted. We open our eyes and immediately let our minds wander into stress, thinking about what went wrong yesterday, what might go wrong today, or what we have not yet achieved. We allow life to slip past us without even realizing how sacred it is. But when you start your day by telling yourself, I am alive, and this moment is a gift, you shift your attention from scarcity to abundance, from rushing past life to truly inhabiting it. You awaken not only the body but also the heart. Think for a moment about how many people closed their eyes last night and never woke again. Their journey in this life has ended, yet yours continues. You have been entrusted with another sunrise, another day to make choices that align with kindness, wisdom, and compassion. This is not something small, it is the most valuable thing you will ever receive. Each morning is an unwritten page, waiting for you to decide what story you will tell with your actions, your words, and your thoughts. When you truly feel the weight and wonder of this truth, gratitude will naturally arise. And with gratitude comes peace, because in that moment, you are no longer chasing something outside of yourself to make you happy. You realize that life itself, this breath, this heartbeat, this chance, is already enough. The present moment becomes complete in itself, no matter what else you are facing. This awareness allows you to walk into the day with a lighter heart, seeing even the smallest blessings, a soft breeze, a warm cup of tea, a smile from a stranger, as reminders of the rare gift you are holding, the gift of being alive. I release what I cannot control. When you wake in the morning, your mind may try to pull you toward unfinished stories, conversations you wish had gone differently, mistakes you wish you could erase, events from the past that still echo in your thoughts. Or it may push you into the future wondering about outcomes, fearing problems that have not yet happened, trying to plan every detail so that nothing goes wrong. This restless grasping at what is outside your control is one of the greatest thieves of peace. The Buddha taught that clinging, whether to people, to outcomes, or to ideas, creates suffering, because the world is in constant motion and nothing stays exactly the way we want it to. In the quiet of the morning, remind yourself, I release what I cannot control. Feel the meaning of these words as you breathe in deeply and exhale slowly. Imagine you are holding a tightly clenched fist filled with heavy stones. Each stone is a worry, one for the opinion of others, one for the choices someone else made, one for something you said years ago, one for an event you can never change. Notice how heavy the hand feels when you grip them tightly. Now imagine opening your hand, letting each stone fall away. Feel the weight lifting, the hand relaxing, the arm becoming lighter. This is what happens in your heart. When you release what you cannot control, you create space for peace to enter. This act of release is not weakness, and it does not mean you are giving up or being careless. It means you are wise enough to understand where your energy is best spent. You cannot control the weather, but you can choose how to dress for it. You cannot control what others say, but you can choose whether to respond with anger or with calm. You cannot control every twist of life's path, but you can choose to walk it with mindfulness, one step at a time. By letting go, you do not lose control, you actually gain it, because you focus only on the things you can influence. Your own actions, your own speech, your own mind. This is where your true power lies. When you carry this intention into your day, you stop wasting energy on trying to force life to match your expectations, and instead, you learn to flow with it. Just as a river does not cling to each bend in its course but continues to move forward, you too can allow life to unfold while keeping your heart free of unnecessary burdens. Every morning, remind yourself of this truth, and you will find that the day feels lighter, not because your challenges disappear, but because you are no longer chained to them. You have learned to place your focus where it matters and to trust the rest to life's natural rhythm. And in that trust, peace takes root. I choose thoughts that bring peace. From the moment you open your eyes, thoughts begin to appear in your mind like clouds forming in the sky. Some are light and gentle memories of happy moments, hopes for the day ahead, a simple awareness of being alive. Others are heavy and dark regrets from yesterday, fears about the future, judgments about yourself or others. The Buddha taught that the mind is the forerunner of all things. Our thoughts shape our reality. Just as seeds planted in a garden determine what will grow, the thoughts you allow to take root in your mind will shape the quality of your day. When you tell yourself in the morning, I choose thoughts that bring peace, you are not ignoring the existence of problems or pretending everything is perfect. You are making a conscious decision about where to place your mental energy. You are taking the role of a careful gardener, choosing which seeds to water and which to let wither. If you feed thoughts of anger, resentment, or self-criticism, they will grow strong and take over the garden. But if you nurture thoughts of patience, kindness, gratitude, and understanding, they will bloom into a peaceful state of mind that nothing outside you can disturb. This practice begins with awareness. Notice the first few thoughts that appear when you wake up. Are they gentle or harsh? Do they make you feel light or heavy? If they are unkind, ask yourself, is this thought helping me find peace, or is it taking me away from it? If it is not serving your peace, imagine it as a leaf floating on a river. Watch it drift away without clinging to it. Then, gently replace it with a thought that calms and centers you, such as, I am grateful for this day, or I will meet whatever comes with patience. Choosing thoughts that bring peace is a skill, and like all skills, it grows stronger with practice. In the beginning, you may find that negative thoughts slip in often, especially if your mind is used to worrying or criticizing. That is natural. The goal is not to stop thoughts from coming, but to choose which ones you give your attention to. Over time, as you keep returning to peaceful thoughts, your mind will naturally lean toward them, just as a plant turns toward the sun. When you carry this choice into your day, challenges no longer control your mood. Someone else's anger will not plant seeds of anger in you. A delay or setback will not take away your inner calm. You will respond rather than react, because you have already chosen the soil in which your thoughts grow. And when your mind is filled with peace, your words, actions, and presence will naturally bring peace to others as well. I will walk through today with compassion. When the Buddha spoke of compassion, he was not speaking only of kindness toward others. He was speaking of a way of living that begins with how you treat yourself. Many of us wake in the morning already carrying self-criticism. We remember what we said yesterday that we wish we hadn't. We think about what we still haven't accomplished. We look at ourselves in the mirror and silently point out flaws. This is a heavy way to begin the day, because before we have even spoken to anyone else, we have already been unkind to ourselves. When you start your day by saying, "I will walk through today with compassion," you make a promise not just to the world, but to yourself. You are telling your mind and heart, "I will meet myself gently, even when I make mistakes. I will not expect perfection from myself or from others. I will remember that every person I meet is carrying unseen burdens." This single intention changes the way you experience the entire day. Self-compassion is not about letting yourself avoid growth or responsibility. It is about recognizing that you are human, that learning, stumbling, and trying again are part of the path. If you speak to yourself with kindness instead of cruelty, you build a foundation of emotional safety. And when you feel safe within yourself, it becomes much easier to extend that same understanding to others. The words of the Buddha, "Hatred is never appeased by hatred, but only by love. This is an eternal rule," remind us that compassion is the antidote to the harshness we so often encounter in life. As you move through your day, compassion will transform the way you respond to people. The driver who cuts you off in traffic is not your enemy. They may be rushing to see a loved one in the hospital. The cashier who seems impatient may be in physical pain or dealing with difficult news. The friend who doesn't return your call might be struggling quietly with something they cannot yet share. When you choose compassion, you see beyond the surface of people's actions and into the truth that they, like you, are imperfect beings navigating a complex life. Walking with compassion also means remembering that you do not need to fix or save everyone. Sometimes compassion is simply listening without judgment. Sometimes it is offering a kind word. Sometimes it is letting go of resentment without needing an apology. In this way, compassion becomes a gentle strength, a way of holding the world without letting it harden your heart. And perhaps most importantly, compassion creates peace inside you, because when you meet the day with a soft heart, you no longer feel the need to fight every small wrong or win every small argument. You understand that peace is not built by proving yourself right, but by choosing to keep your heart open. When you begin your day with this intention, you carry a quiet light within you, one that not only guides you, but also warms everyone you meet. I will walk through today with compassion. When the Buddha spoke of compassion, he was not referring only to grand gestures or rare acts of kindness. He was pointing to a way of moving through the world, moment by moment, with an open heart. Compassion in its purest form begins quietly, in the space within you. It is how you speak to yourself when you make a mistake. It is how you view your own flaws without turning them into weapons against your self-worth. It is how you recognize that even when you fall short, you are still worthy of patience and understanding. Too often, our mornings begin with silent judgment. We look in the mirror and notice only what we dislike. We remember yesterday's missteps with regret that turns into self-criticism. We set impossibly high expectations for the day ahead, making our self-acceptance dependent on whether we meet them. Without realizing it, we plant the seeds of harshness before the day has even begun. And those seeds influence the tone of every interaction we have with ourselves and with others. But when you wake and tell yourself, I will walk through today with compassion, you are making a conscious choice to change that pattern. You are promising yourself that your kindness will not be conditional. You will be gentle with yourself, not because you are flawless, but because you are human. You will not speak to yourself in ways you would never speak to a dear friend. And you will carry this same softness into the way you meet the people around you. The Buddha's words, hatred is never appeased by hatred, but only by love. This is an eternal law. Remind us that compassion is not weakness. It is the only force strong enough to dissolve hostility and heal division. When you choose compassion, you step away from the constant cycle of reaction. Instead of meeting anger with anger, you meet it with understanding. Instead of responding to someone's coldness with more coldness, you choose warmth. To walk through the day with compassion means to see the hidden struggles behind people's actions. The stranger who snaps at you in the store may be carrying the weight of grief. The co-worker who seems distracted may be overwhelmed by worries you cannot see. The friend who cancels plans may be fighting a private battle with anxiety. When compassion is your guiding principle, you stop taking these moments personally. You understand that their behavior is not always a reflection of you, but a reflection of the burdens they carry. Compassion also teaches you balance. It reminds you that being kind to others does not mean neglecting yourself. Sometimes, compassion means setting a boundary to protect your own well-being. Sometimes it means saying no, not out of selfishness, but out of the understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup. Self-compassion and compassion for others are not separate. They feed each other. The more you nourish your own heart, the more love and patience you have to share. And when you walk with compassion, you naturally slow down. You become more present. You begin to notice opportunities to be gentle that you might otherwise have overlooked, holding the door for someone, offering a genuine smile, choosing to listen without interrupting, speaking words that heal rather than harm. These small acts are not insignificant, they ripple outward, creating a chain of kindness that can reach further than you imagine. By the end of the day, you will find that this way of living does not just touch the lives of others, it transforms you. Compassion lifts the weight of constant judgment from your shoulders. It softens the hard edges of your thoughts. It fills your heart with a quiet strength that no criticism can shatter. When you begin the morning with the intention to walk through the day with compassion, you carry within you a light that not only guides your steps, but also illuminates the path for those around you. I am exactly where I need to be. In our fast-moving world, it is easy to wake each morning with the sense that we are behind in our careers, behind in our goals, behind in life itself. Social media, advertisements, and even casual conversations often leave us feeling as though we should have achieved more, become more, experienced more. This quiet pressure creates an undercurrent of restlessness. Even if life is going well, a voice inside whispers, "You're not there yet." But where exactly is there? And what if the very idea that you are supposed to be somewhere else is what steals your peace? The Buddha's teachings offer a different truth. The present moment is not a stepping stone to somewhere else, it is life itself. Every step you have taken, every experience you have had, every joy and every mistake has brought you to this exact point. When you wake and tell yourself, "I am exactly where I need to be," you are not denying your dreams or your desire for growth. You are acknowledging that this moment, with all its imperfections, is a necessary and meaningful part of your journey. Acceptance does not mean passivity. It does not mean you give up on self-improvement or stop making plans for the future. What it means is that you stop poisoning the present with the belief that it is somehow wrong or incomplete. Instead of treating the moment you are in as a waiting room before real life begins, you allow yourself to inhabit it fully. This is how peace is found, not by racing to the next milestone, but by being awake to the beauty and lessons of where you are right now. Consider a seed planted in the earth. From the outside, there may seem to be no progress for days or weeks. Yet beneath the soil, unseen to the eye, roots are forming. The seed is gathering strength, preparing for the day it will break through into the light. If you judged the seed by what you could see on the surface, you might think it was stuck or failing, but in truth, it is exactly where it needs to be in its growth. Your life is no different. Some seasons are about blossoming, others are about rooting deeply in ways the world cannot see. When you embrace this perspective, frustration begins to fade. You realize that delays are not punishments, they are part of the unfolding. Challenges are not detours, they are shaping you for the path ahead. Even moments of stillness, which the modern world often labels as wasted time, become sacred opportunities to breathe, reflect, and reconnect with yourself. This morning affirmation, "I am exactly where I need to be," also frees you from constant comparison. When you stop measuring your worth against someone else's timeline, you stop treating life as a race. You see that no two journeys are the same, and that trying to copy someone else's path would take you away from the unique lessons and experiences meant for you. You begin to trust that what is yours will come not a moment too soon and not a moment too late. And perhaps most importantly, this mindset changes the way you see obstacles. Instead of thinking, "This should not be happening to me," you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" You stop resisting the reality of your current situation and start working with it, using it as the ground on which to grow. This does not mean that you have to like every moment you are in. It means that you acknowledge its place in your larger journey and honor it for the role it plays. By starting your day with this truth, you step into life with a calm confidence. You no longer feel the need to rush every process or control every outcome. You stop living in a constant state of almost there and start living in the fullness of here. And when you live in here, you notice things you once overlooked: the way sunlight spills across your floor, the warmth of your first sip of tea, the sound of birds in the morning. Peace is found in these small, unrepeatable moments, not in the imagined perfection of the future. So tomorrow, when you open your eyes, take a deep breath and tell yourself, "I am exactly where I need to be." Feel the truth of it settle in your body. Let it remind you that life is not waiting for you somewhere else. It is happening here, now, and this moment, just as it is worthy of your presence and your gratitude. My peace is not dependent on the outside world. From the moment we wake, the world begins to pull at our attention. Notifications flash on our phones. Headlines shout about events beyond our control. The people around us have moods, opinions, and expectations that sometimes lift us up and sometimes weigh us down. The weather changes, plans fall apart, unexpected problems appear. Without realizing it, we often let these external conditions decide how we feel. If things go smoothly, we feel calm. If things go wrong, our peace shatters. But in Buddhist teaching, there is a profound truth. Lasting peace cannot come from things outside ourselves, because those things are always changing. Real peace is born within. When you begin your day by telling yourself, "My peace is not dependent on the outside world," you take back the power you may have unknowingly given away. You remind yourself that the center of your calm is not in someone else's hands, nor in the weather, nor in the day's events. It is within you. This is not about ignoring the world or pretending its problems do not exist. It is about realizing that your inner state does not have to rise and fall with every shift in your surroundings. Imagine a mountain. Storms may rage around it, winds may batter its slopes, snow may cover its peak, yet the mountain remains rooted, unmoved in its essence. Beneath the surface, it holds steady through every season. You, too, can be like that mountain. The storms of life, arguments, disappointments, Unexpected changes may pass over you, but they do not have to shake your core. Your roots, planted in awareness and mindfulness, can hold you steady. Buddhism teaches that much of our suffering comes from grasping at what is pleasant and pushing away what is unpleasant. We try to control our environment so it always matches our preferences, but because life is unpredictable, this creates a constant cycle of attachment and aversion, hope and disappointment. By telling yourself that your peace is independent of the world outside, you begin to loosen this grasp. You learn to meet whatever comes pleasant or unpleasant with the same steady breath. This doesn't mean you won't feel emotions. It doesn't mean you won't care about what happens. It means you won't let your inner balance be entirely dictated by events beyond your control. If someone speaks harshly to you, you can still choose a calm response rather than a reactive one. If plans fall apart, you can adapt without falling into despair. If the day turns out differently than you hoped, you can still find moments of beauty and gratitude within it. This mindset is built through daily practice. In the morning, before the demands of the day take hold, take a few deep breaths and silently repeat the affirmation, "My peace is not dependent on the outside world." Visualize a calm lake, its surface unbroken, even when winds blow across it. Imagine that lake within you, deep, still, untouched by the ripples of passing events. Throughout the day, when something threatens to disturb your peace, return to this image. Remember that the disturbance is happening on the surface of life, not in the depths of your being. There will always be things you cannot predict: traffic jams, delays, misunderstandings, losses, unexpected changes in relationships or health. But when you cultivate peace that comes from within, these moments no longer have the same power over you. They become passing weather patterns in the sky of your mind, noticed but not clung to. You start to live from a deeper place, one that is steady no matter what clouds pass overhead. In this way, you begin to see the truth of the Buddha's words: peace comes from within, do not seek it without. The outside world may offer moments of comfort or joy, but they are fleeting. When you anchor your well-being to them, you are like a boat tied to a drifting dock. You will move wherever it moves. But when you anchor to the still point within yourself, you can rest even in the midst of the waves. This practice is not about isolation from life. It is about engagement without losing yourself. It allows you to participate in the world fully, to love deeply, to work with dedication, to care about what happens without letting any of it control the foundation of your peace. You become able to walk through chaos without becoming chaotic. You can be in noise without losing your inner silence. You can be in the rush without losing your stillness. Over time, this understanding changes not only how you experience life, but also how you move through it. People may notice that you are not as easily rattled, that your presence itself feels calming. Conflicts may resolve more easily because you are no longer feeding them with reactive energy, and you, within yourself, will find that the ups and downs of life no longer feel like a constant emotional roller coaster. So tomorrow morning, as you sit quietly before the world begins to speak to you, place your hands gently over your heart, close your eyes, and tell yourself, "My peace is not dependent on the outside world." Let the words sink in. Let them become not just something you say, but something you live. Carry them with you through the day like a hidden jewel, untouched, unshaken, shining quietly no matter what happens around you. Every moment is an opportunity to begin again. One of the most beautiful truths in Buddhist teaching is the understanding that life is constantly renewing itself. No matter what has happened before, whether it was 5 years ago, yesterday, or even just a moment ago, the present is always fresh. Yet, most of us carry the weight of the past as if it were chained to our backs. We replay mistakes, dwell on regrets, and judge ourselves for not having done better. We tell ourselves that we must wait for the right moment to change, to start over, to live differently. But in truth, the right moment is always now. When you wake in the morning and remind yourself, every moment is an opportunity to begin again, you step into a freedom that few people allow themselves to experience. You free yourself from the idea that your past mistakes define you. You stop believing that yesterday's failures have the final say in who you are. Instead, you realize that the person you are in this moment is the only one who truly exists. The you from yesterday is already gone. The you from tomorrow has not yet arrived. And the you that is here right now holds the power to choose differently. This truth is not an excuse to avoid responsibility. It is an invitation to act with awareness. If you hurt someone, you cannot undo what happened, but you can choose, starting now, to speak with more kindness. If you wasted time in the past, you cannot retrieve those hours, but you can choose, starting now, to spend your time more meaningfully. If you allowed fear to stop you from taking a step forward, you can take that step today. In every breath, you are offered a new beginning, and that opportunity is endless. The Buddha often compared life to a river, always moving, always changing. The water you touch now is not the same water you touched a moment ago. Likewise, the moment you are in now is not the same as the one you were in just seconds before. Each moment holds its own potential, unshaped until you meet it with intention. By remembering that you can begin again at any time, you stop letting the past control the present. You stop telling yourself, "It's too late," and start asking, "What can I do now?" Think of how liberating it is to know that no matter how messy yesterday was, no matter what wrong turns you took, today you can choose a different direction. Even if you have taken that wrong turn 100 times before, you can still turn back toward the path of wisdom and compassion right now. The path is always open to you, not because the past disappears, but because the present moment is stronger than the past when you step into it fully. This truth also applies in the smallest moments of daily life. Imagine you wake up feeling irritated and impatient. Instead of letting that mood define your whole day, you can pause, take a breath, and decide to begin again. You might choose to notice the warmth of the sun through the window, the sound of a bird outside, the comfort of your morning tea. That single decision shifts your energy. Or perhaps you are in a conversation and you catch yourself speaking sharply. Instead of defending your tone or letting the conversation spiral into conflict, you can stop, take a breath, and begin again, this time speaking with calm and understanding. Beginning again is not about erasing the past. It's about bringing your full awareness to the present so you can respond more skillfully. The more you practice this, the less trapped you feel by your habits. You realize that you are not bound to repeat the same patterns simply because they have always been there. Every habit was formed by repeating certain choices. Every habit can be reshaped by making new ones. In Buddhist meditation practice, the idea of beginning again is essential. As you sit in stillness, your mind will wander into memories, plans, worries, or daydreams. The moment you notice you have drifted, you gently bring your attention back to the breath, back to the present moment. You do this over and over, without judgment, as many times as needed. Each return is a fresh start. In this way, meditation mirrors life itself. No matter how many times you wander away from your intention, you can always return. By telling yourself every morning, every moment is an opportunity to begin again, you give yourself permission to live without the heavy chains of self-condemnation. You also give this gift to others. When you recognize that you can begin again, you also recognize that others can too. You stop holding them forever to their worst moments. You allow relationships to heal because you no longer see people only through the lens of what they once did. You see them for what they are choosing now. This mindset brings tremendous peace because it softens the hardness of the past. Regret loses its power to suffocate you. Shame loses its ability to paralyze you. Even fear of the future begins to fade because you know you do not have to have everything figured out. You only need to meet each moment as it comes, and if you falter, you can begin again. And perhaps most importantly, this truth reminds you to treasure the present. If you know you can always begin again, you stop waiting for perfect conditions to live with joy and meaning. You stop thinking, "I'll start being happy when I have more money, when I lose weight, when I move to a better place, when people treat me differently." You start living now. You start appreciating the small and sacred moments that are already in your hands. Tomorrow morning, as you wake, sit for a moment before you move. Feel your breath. Let it remind you that with each inhale, life enters you anew. Let it remind you that with each exhale, you can release what has passed. Say to yourself, slowly and gently, every moment is an opportunity to begin again. Carry it with you, and when the day challenges you, when you stumble, when you forget your intentions, return to it. In time, you will find that you are never truly starting from zero. Every time you begin again, you bring with you the wisdom of all the times you have begun before. You are not failing, you are practicing. And in this practice, there is no end point, only a deeper and deeper capacity to live each moment fully, with awareness, with compassion, and with peace. Gratitude is the foundation of my peace. When you think of peace, what comes to mind? Many imagine silence, a life without problems, a calm environment free from chaos. But the truth is, peace is not simply the absence of noise or conflict. It is a state of heart and mind that remains steady no matter what is happening around you. And if you look deeply, you will find that one of the most powerful roots of this inner stability is gratitude. Gratitude has the power to shift your focus from what is missing to what is already present. It transforms ordinary moments into sacred ones and teaches you to see life through the eyes of abundance rather than lack. When you start your morning with the affirmation, "Gratitude is the foundation of my peace," you are telling yourself that no matter what the day holds, you will meet it with an open heart. You are promising yourself that you will not wait for life to be perfect before you feel thankful. You will choose to recognize the gifts that are already here, right now, even in their simplest form. Buddhist teaching often reminds us that dissatisfaction, or dukkha, arises when we focus on what we do not have, when we compare our lives to others, or when we cling to the belief that we need more to be content. This constant reaching creates an endless cycle of wanting, and as soon as one desire is met, another takes its place. Gratitude interrupts that cycle. It turns your gaze toward the present and shows you the richness that already surrounds you. Think about the first breath you take in the morning, the air filling your lungs, the life that continues to flow through you without effort. That alone is enough to inspire gratitude. Think about the bed that held you while you slept, the roof over your head, the warmth of a blanket on a cold morning. These things are so easily overlooked, yet they are blessings that millions of people in the world might wish for. Gratitude opens your eyes to them and reminds you that your life, even in its imperfections, contains countless small miracles. This practice does not mean ignoring your struggles or pretending your pain does not exist. Gratitude and difficulty can coexist. In fact, in Buddhism, we learn that the ability to see beauty in the midst of challenge is a sign of wisdom. The lotus flower blooms most beautifully in muddy water, and in the same way, gratitude can bloom in the middle of hardship. You might be going through financial strain, but you can still feel grateful for the kindness of a friend who supports you. You might be dealing with illness, but you can still appreciate the moments of laughter that lighten your heart. Gratitude doesn't erase pain, it balances it, reminding you that life is not only made of suffering, When you choose gratitude as the foundation of your peace, you also become less dependent on external conditions for your happiness. If your peace relies only on everything going your way, it will be fragile. But when your peace is grounded in appreciation for the simple fact of being alive, it becomes much harder for outside events to shake you. Even when life changes suddenly, even when plans fall apart, you will still be able to find something to give thanks for: a lesson learned, a moment of stillness, the resilience you didn't know you had. Gratitude is not just a feeling, it is a practice. It grows stronger the more you use it. In the morning, you can take a few minutes to silently name 3 things you are thankful for. Some days they may be big: good health, a supportive family, meaningful work. Other days they may be small: the taste of fresh fruit, the sunlight through your window, the comfort of warm tea in your hands. What matters is not the size of the blessing, but the act of noticing it. Over time, your mind will naturally start to seek out these moments without effort. And gratitude does more than bring you peace. It changes the way you interact with the world. When you are grateful, you are less likely to complain, less likely to judge, and more likely to offer kindness. Gratitude softens the heart, making compassion flow more easily. You begin to appreciate not only the good things in life, but also the people around you, recognizing that their presence is a gift, even when they challenge you. Buddhist monks often begin and end their day with chants of thanks, not only for food, shelter, and health, but for the opportunity to practice, for the challenges that strengthen patience, and for the precious chance to be awake and alive in this moment. You can do the same in your own way. Before you rise from bed, whisper a thank you to life, to the people who have helped you, to the body that carries you, to the breath that sustains you. And when you lie down at night, find one thing from the day, no matter how small, that made it brighter. There will be mornings when gratitude feels easy, when joy flows naturally, and thankfulness rises in your chest without effort. But there will also be mornings when it feels distant, when you wake heavy with worry, sorrow, or fatigue. Those are the days when the practice is most powerful. Choosing gratitude in those moments is like choosing to light a small candle in a dark room. It may not erase the darkness entirely, but it changes how you see it. It gives you enough light to take the next step. And here is the quiet miracle. When gratitude becomes your foundation, peace becomes less fragile. You stop waiting for life to get better before you feel okay. You begin to understand that life already holds treasures, and your work is simply to notice them. The sound of rain, the laughter of someone you love, the smell of bread baking, the way the sky turns gold in the evening. These are not just background details. They are reminders that even in a world that can be chaotic, beauty still exists. So tomorrow morning, before you rush into the demands of the day, sit still for a moment. Feel your breath. Place your hand over your heart. Say to yourself slowly, "Gratitude is the foundation of my peace." Let the words settle in your chest. Let them guide you into the day with a softness that no hardship can fully erase. Carry this truth with you, and you will find that even in the most ordinary moments, you are standing in the middle of something extraordinary. Change is not my enemy. It is my teacher. One of the most universal truths in life is that everything changes. The seasons shift, relationships evolve, our bodies age, circumstances transform, and the world around us never stays still. And yet, despite knowing this, so much of our suffering comes from resisting change. We cling to what is familiar because it feels safe, even if it no longer serves us. We fear the unknown, imagining that it will take away our happiness rather than bring new possibilities. But in Buddhist teaching, change impermanence is not something to be feared. It is the nature of all things, and within it lies the greatest opportunity for growth and peace. When you begin your morning by telling yourself, Change is not my enemy, it is my teacher. You shift from resisting life's movement to flowing with it. You open yourself to the understanding that change is not happening to punish you, it is happening to shape you. Every shift, every ending, every beginning carries a lesson, and the more you accept this, the more you can meet change with openness instead of fear. Think about the way a river flows. The water you step into one moment is not the same water that touches you the next. And yet, the river remains the river. It keeps moving, shaping the land, carrying life along its path. If the river resisted its own flow, it would stagnate, and life within it would wither. In the same way, our lives are meant to move, to change, to carry us from one season to another. When we try to hold on too tightly to a single stage of life, we create tension in our hearts. But when we accept change as part of the natural current, we can move forward without fear, trusting that the flow is taking us where we need to go. Buddhism teaches that impermanence, anicca, is one of the three marks of existence, alongside suffering, dukkha, and non-self, anatta. It is not an idea meant to make us sad, but a truth meant to free us. Because everything changes, our pain will not last forever. Because everything changes, new joys are always possible. The problem is not change itself, it is our attachment to things staying exactly as we want them to be. Consider a time in your life when something you feared turned out to be a blessing. Perhaps a job ended, and though it felt devastating at the time, it led you to a new path you never would have discovered otherwise. Perhaps a relationship ended, and it opened the door to deeper self-understanding or to connections that brought more peace and joy. Perhaps a difficult challenge forced you to develop strength, patience, or resilience that you now treasure. In each of these cases, change was not your enemy, it was your teacher. This does not mean that all changes feel good when they happen. Some are painful. The loss of a loved one, the sudden end of stability, the crumbling of plans we've worked toward, these experiences can shake us to our core. But even here, change has something to teach. It teaches us about the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing every moment. It teaches us where our true sources of strength lie. It teaches us to loosen our grip on the illusion of control and to live more fully in the present. When you welcome change as a teacher, you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this here to teach me?" That small shift in perspective can transform fear into curiosity. Instead of feeling like life is dragging you somewhere against your will, you begin to see that life is guiding you toward growth, even if the path is not yet clear. In the morning, as you affirm this truth, you can take a few quiet minutes to reflect on the changes you are experiencing now. Ask yourself, what might this be teaching me? What part of myself is being shaped by this? You may not have all the answers yet, and that's okay. Often, the lessons of change reveal themselves slowly, like the way a tree grows quietly, until one day you notice its shade has expanded. Another way to embrace change is to observe it in nature. Watch how the leaves turn from green to gold to bare branches, and yet the tree does not fight this process. Notice how the tide moves in and out, never clinging to a single moment of stillness. These cycles are not mistakes, they are life itself. You are part of the same rhythm. When you resist change, you close yourself off from the beauty of what could be. You hold on to the old, not because it is right, but because it is known. The unknown feels dangerous, but it is also where growth and transformation live. Think of the caterpillar. If it resisted change, if it feared leaving its cocoon, it would never become a butterfly. In your own life, there may be cocoons you are ready to leave, even if stepping out feels uncertain. Sometimes, the hardest part of change is letting go of what once felt good. We assume that because something brought us joy in the past, it must always be part of our lives. But the truth is, not everything is meant to stay forever. Some experiences are meant to be chapters, not the whole story. When we can release them with gratitude, we make space for new blessings to arrive. Buddhist practice teaches us to meet change with mindfulness. Instead of reacting with fear or clinging, we pause, breathe, and acknowledge what is happening. We name it, "This is a change." We notice our feelings, perhaps sadness, perhaps excitement, perhaps both. We allow those feelings to be there without letting them control us. And then we take the next step forward, one mindful breath at a time. There will be times when change feels like a loss, and times when it feels like liberation. But in both cases, it is an invitation to grow. It is a reminder that nothing is fixed, not your circumstances, not your emotions, not even your sense of self. You are a living, evolving being, and life is always offering you the chance to transform. So tomorrow morning, when you wake, take a deep breath and repeat, "Change is not my enemy, it is my teacher." Let the words settle into you. Let them remind you that every shift, no matter how small or large, carries the seed of wisdom. Trust that the changes you face are shaping you into the person you are meant to become. And when you can see change not as something to fear, but as something to learn from, you will find that peace follows you, not because life has stopped moving, but because you have learned to move with it. Letting go is how I hold on to peace. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood ideas in life. To many, it feels like surrender, defeat, or even loss. We imagine that letting go means caring less or walking away from things that matter. But in Buddhist teaching, letting go, vosaga in Pali, is not about caring less, it's about caring more wisely. It is about releasing the tight grip of control, fear, and attachment that keeps us in a constant state of tension, so that our hands and hearts are free to truly embrace life as it is. From the moment we wake in the morning, we are already holding on to plans for the day, to worries about what might go wrong, to unresolved conversations, to the hope that people will act the way we want them to memories of what used to be. Some of these things are small, an irritation from yesterday, a deadline, a minor disagreement. Others are heavier old wounds, regrets, unfulfilled dreams, the ache of loss. Each one takes up space in our mind and heart. We tell ourselves we are managing it all, but in truth, much of what we hold on to is weighing us down, robbing us of the lightness and peace we long for. When you begin your morning by telling yourself, "Letting go is how I hold on to peace," you remind yourself that peace does not come from clinging, it comes from release. You understand that holding on too tightly to things beyond your control does not preserve your happiness, it strangles it. Letting go is not forgetting, and it is not pretending that what happened didn't matter. It is simply choosing to stop carrying the burden long after it has served its purpose. In Buddhist wisdom, attachment is one of the primary causes of suffering. This attachment can be to material things, to people, to outcomes, or even to ideas of who we believe we should be. We hold on because we believe that letting go will leave us empty. But here is the paradox. The more we cling, the less space we have for joy, for growth, for the natural flow of life. The moment we release our grip, we create space for peace to enter. Think of the way water flows through a stream. If you try to cup it tightly in your hands, it escapes through your fingers, and all you are left with is a struggle. But if you open your hands and let the water move freely, you can still feel its coolness, its presence, without trying to trap it. People, situations, and moments are like that water. They are meant to be experienced fully, appreciated deeply, and then allowed to move on when their time has passed. Letting go also means releasing the need to control how others act or think. Much of our frustration comes from expecting people to meet our standards or behave according to our preferences. We take their words and actions personally, and we believe that if we just try hard enough, we can make them change. But the truth is, every person has their own path, their own lessons, their own timing. Letting go in this sense means respecting their journey without trying to live it for them. It means offering love and support without trying to force the outcome. And it also means letting go of the self-image that keeps you trapped. Perhaps you see yourself only through the lens of past mistakes. Perhaps you believe you must always be strong, always be perfect, always be in control. This kind of attachment to a fixed identity can be as limiting as any external circumstance. The Buddha taught that the self is not a fixed thing, it is a collection of ever-changing thoughts, feelings, and experiences. When you let go of the need to be who you were yesterday, you open yourself to becoming who you are meant to be today. Letting go does not happen all at once. It is a practice, a skill that grows with time. In the morning, you can begin by noticing what you are holding on to. Is it a memory that still stings? Is it an expectation for how the day should go? Is it anger towards someone? Is it disappointment in yourself? Simply notice it without judgment. Then, with your breath, imagine loosening your grip. With each exhale, picture that weight leaving your body, drifting away like a leaf on a stream. You may have to do this many times for the same thing that is okay. Letting go is rarely a single event. It is an ongoing choice. Some people fear that letting go means losing their connection to what they love. But in truth, letting go often deepens that connection. When you release the urge to control, you allow yourself to appreciate things as they are, without the constant pressure of trying to make them different. You see the beauty of a flower without worrying how long it will last. You enjoy time with a loved one without needing them to fulfill every expectation. You allow experiences to be pure, unclouded by your insistence that they meet certain conditions. In Buddhist meditation, there is a practice of non-clinging awareness. As thoughts and feelings arise, you notice them, allow them to be, and let them pass without grasping. The same approach can be applied to life itself. Every moment, every interaction, every experience arises, exists for a time, and fades. When we stop clinging, we stop fighting the natural rhythm of life, and in doing so, we find peace. Letting go also has a powerful relationship with forgiveness. To forgive is, in essence, to release the burden of resentment. Holding on to anger towards someone does not harm them nearly as much as it harms you. It keeps you tied to a moment that has already passed, poisoning the present. Letting go in this context means choosing your own freedom over the weight of bitterness. This does not mean condoning harmful actions. It means refusing to let those actions dictate your inner state any longer. There is also the letting go that comes with loss. This is perhaps the most difficult of all, because it involves accepting that something or someone deeply loved is no longer part of your life in the same way. Grief is natural, and it takes time. But even here, letting go is not about forgetting, it is about allowing the love to remain while releasing the pain's constant grip. It is about remembering with tenderness instead of living in the ache of absence. Every morning, when you affirm that letting go is how you hold on to peace, you are setting the tone for your day. You are reminding yourself that you do not need to carry the weight of the past into the present. You are telling yourself that you can meet whatever comes with open hands, ready to receive, and just as ready to release. Letting go does not mean your life will be empty. On the contrary, it means your life will be open. Open to new experiences, open to new lessons, open to the constant unfolding of this extraordinary journey. And in that openness, peace becomes not something you have to chase, but something that naturally fills the space you have cleared. So, tomorrow morning, before you rise, take a deep breath. Place your hands gently in your lap, palms open, as if ready to receive. Say to yourself, "Letting go is how I hold on to peace." Feel the truth of it sink into your bones. Carry it with you into every conversation, every challenge, every moment of stillness. And each time you feel the urge to cling to an expectation, to an outcome, to the way things used to be, pause, breathe, and remember, peace is not in holding on tightly. Peace is in letting go, and trusting that what is meant for you will never require you to grip it with fear. Silence is where my true strength grows. In the modern world, silence is rare. We wake up to alarms, check messages, scroll through news, hear cars outside, voices in the hallway, music playing, and the endless hum of activity. It's almost as if silence has become something unnatural, even uncomfortable. Many people avoid it without even realizing why. They fill every gap with noise, because silence can feel strange, confronting, or even empty. But in Buddhism, silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the space where you can hear your own mind, where you can touch the stillness beneath all the surface noise of life, and where your true strength begins to grow. When you start your morning with the affirmation, "Silence is where my true strength grows," you are making a choice to step away from the constant pull of the outer world and into the quiet refuge of the inner world. You are choosing to remember that silence is not the absence of life. It is the soil in which life's deepest wisdom takes root. Silence is powerful because it allows you to listen not just to the sounds around you, but to the whispers of your own heart. In noise, you react. In silence, you reflect. In noise, you are pulled outward. In silence, you return inward. The Buddha often spoke of the importance of withdrawing into solitude, not to escape the world, but to see it more clearly when you return. Just as muddy water settles when left undisturbed, the mind also becomes clear when given moments of stillness. Our culture often mistakes loudness for strength, speaking the most, moving the fastest, making the biggest impact. But true strength is quiet. It does not need to shout to prove itself. The mountain does not boast of its height, it simply stands. The ocean does not announce its depth, it simply holds it. Likewise, the strength that grows in silence is not the kind that needs to dominate others. It is the kind that allows you to face life without being easily shaken, the kind that can withstand storms because it is rooted deep below the surface. Silence is also where you learn to respond rather than react. When you are constantly surrounded by noise, both external and internal, your mind is in a state of constant stimulation. Every sound, every word, every notification becomes a spark that pulls your attention, often leading you to act without thinking. But when you make space for silence, you create a pause between what happens and how you respond. And in that pause lies wisdom. The ability to act from calm clarity rather than from impulse is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. In Buddhist practice, silence is often paired with mindfulness. You might sit in meditation, focusing on your breath, noticing the sensations in your body, and letting thoughts pass without clinging to them. Over time, this practice trains you to be comfortable in the quiet, to see it not as emptiness but as richness. You start to notice the subtle sounds you used to overlook, the rustle of leaves, the rhythm of your breathing, the way your heartbeat changes as you relax. You begin to realize that silence is not truly silent. It is alive with the small, sacred details of existence. Silence also has the power to heal. When your heart is wounded by loss, by disappointment, by the weight of the world, words are not always what you need. Sometimes it is the quiet presence of nature, the stillness of a peaceful room, or the gentle rhythm of your own breath that brings comfort. In the space of silence, you are not required to explain yourself, to justify your feelings, or to meet anyone's expectations. You can simply be, and in the permission to simply be, healing can begin. Choosing silence each day does not mean isolating yourself from life or ignoring your responsibilities. It means giving yourself the gift of a few moments where nothing is demanded of you except to be present. It can be as simple as sitting quietly before the day begins, walking without headphones, eating a meal without distractions, or closing your eyes for a minute in the middle of a busy afternoon. These small acts of silence, repeated daily, become anchors that hold you steady, no matter how chaotic life becomes. Silence also strengthens your relationships. In conversation, we often feel pressure to fill every gap with words. But when you are comfortable with silence, you can truly listen. You can let others speak without rushing to respond, giving them the space to fully express themselves. In this way, your silence becomes a gift to others. It shows them they are heard, valued, and understood. There will be times when silence is uncomfortable, when you are alone with your thoughts. Old emotions and unresolved questions may rise to the surface. This is natural. In the beginning, silence may feel like it makes your inner noise louder, but if you stay with it, if you sit, breathe, and allow those thoughts and feelings to pass without judgment, they will eventually settle. And what remains beneath them is something steady, something strong, something unshakable. The Buddha himself spent long periods in silence, in forests, under trees, by rivers, letting his mind settle into deep stillness. From this silence arose the clarity and compassion that formed the foundation of his teachings. If silence was essential, even for one who had already awakened, how much more essential is it for us who are still learning to see clearly? When you affirm each morning, "Silence is where my true strength grows," you are committing to finding that still point within yourself each day. You are reminding yourself that your worth is not measured by how much you do or say, but by the depth of your awareness and the steadiness of your heart. You are choosing to be a mountain in a world of storms, an ocean in a world of waves. Make this a practice. Before you step into the noise of the day, sit for a few minutes in silence. Breathe deeply. Feel the air move in and out of your body. Let thoughts come and go without chasing them. Listen not for answers, but for presence. Over time, you will notice that this silence follows you into the rest of your day. Even in busy moments, even in conversations, even in conflict, you will feel a thread of stillness running through you. That thread is your strength. In the end, silence is not about turning away from life. It is about meeting it more fully. When you are no longer distracted by constant noise, you can see the details, hear the truth in someone's words, feel the depth of each moment. You stop living on the surface and start living from the center. And from that center, you can meet anything: joy, sorrow, change, uncertainty, with a calm heart and a clear mind. So tomorrow, before the day begins, take that moment. Sit in the quiet. Let your body rest, your mind settle, and your heart open. Remind yourself, silence is where my true strength grows. And carry that stillness with you, not as something fragile that can be broken, but as something unshakable that can carry you through anything. Contentment is the highest wealth I can own. In our world today, wealth is often measured in numbers, bank balances, possessions, investments, and status. From the moment we wake up, we are surrounded by messages telling us to want more, do more, and achieve more. The underlying idea is that peace and happiness are waiting for us somewhere in the future, just beyond the next accomplishment or purchase. But the Buddha taught something radically different. Health is the greatest gift, contentment the greatest wealth, faithfulness the best relationship. When you wake each morning and remind yourself, "Contentment is the highest wealth I can own," you are stepping away from the endless race for more and stepping into the quiet abundance that is already here. You are choosing to measure your life not by what you lack, but by what you already have. This is not about rejecting ambition or refusing to improve your circumstances. It is about understanding that without contentment, no amount of success or possessions will bring lasting peace, and with contentment, even the simplest life can feel full. Contentment is not laziness. It is not giving up on your dreams. It is the wisdom to recognize that happiness does not need to be postponed until all your desires are met. It is the ability to look at the life you have right now and say, "This is enough, and I am grateful." When contentment is your foundation, you still work toward your goals, but you do so without the constant fear that you are not enough as you are. The Buddha's teaching on Santuti contentment reminds us that craving tanha is the root of much suffering. Craving makes the mind restless, always chasing the next thing, never still enough to enjoy what is already here. When you practice contentment, you loosen the grip of craving. You discover the quiet joy of sufficiency, the ability to eat a simple meal and feel nourished, to sit in a modest home and feel sheltered, to have fewer possessions but more peace of mind. Think about this. How many people have more than they once dreamed of, and yet are still unhappy? How many are wealthier, more successful, or more admired than they imagined possible, and yet feel a constant emptiness? This is because external abundance without internal contentment is like pouring water into a bucket with a hole. It will never feel full. On the other hand, a person who has little but is deeply content may live in a small home, wear simple clothes, and still walk through the world with a smile that cannot be bought. In your own life, you can practice contentment by pausing each morning to notice what is already present: your breath, your body, the people who care about you, the skills you've learned, the beauty in the world around you, the way sunlight moves across the floor, the sound of a bird greeting the day, the warmth of tea in your hands. These are not small things. They are treasures that countless people wish they could experience, and they are already yours. Contentment also means accepting that life is a mixture of ease and difficulty, joy and sorrow. If you only allow yourself to feel satisfied when things are perfect, you will spend most of your life waiting. But if you can find a way to appreciate what is good, even while facing challenges, you carry wealth with you no matter where you are. This is why contentment is not fragile. It is not based on circumstances that can change overnight. It is rooted in your ability to see and value what you have in each moment. This does not mean you will never feel desire again. Desire is part of being human, but contentment changes your relationship with desire. Instead of believing that your happiness depends on getting what you want, you understand that you can be happy now, and if more comes, it is simply a blessing, not a requirement. This shift in perspective is powerful. It turns every gain into a bonus instead of a necessity, and it turns every day into a day you can enjoy, regardless of what it brings. Buddhist monks embody this lesson in their daily lives. Many own nothing beyond their robes, a bowl, and a few simple items. They eat what is offered, sleep where there is space, and yet live with a sense of richness that many in the modern world never experience. This is not because they have trained themselves to suppress all feelings of want, but because they have learned the art of appreciating what is present without constant comparison to what is absent. You can begin practicing contentment today without changing anything external. When you eat, focus on the taste and nourishment of the food instead of wishing for something different. When you speak to someone, value the connection instead of thinking about who else you wish you were with. When you look at your life, notice what is working instead of only seeing what is missing. Contentment also deepens gratitude. The more you are content with what you have, the more you naturally give thanks for it. And the more you give thanks, the more contentment grows. This is a cycle that strengthens itself, creating an inner wealth that cannot be stolen, taxed, or lost. There will be days when contentment feels far away, when you are tempted to believe that happiness lies in the next purchase, the next job, the next relationship. On those days, it is important to return to this affirmation. Contentment is the highest wealth I can own. Say it slowly. Breathe it in. Remind yourself that your ability to find peace now is the truest measure of your richness. Even as you work for more, do not miss the miracle of enough. Enough breath to live this moment. Enough strength to stand or sit. Enough awareness to notice beauty. Enough kindness to share with someone else. Enough wisdom to know that nothing is permanent and that this moment, fleeting as it is complete. So tomorrow morning, as you wake, pause before you move. Let your eyes soften. Take a slow, deep breath. Feel the life within you. Whisper to yourself, "Contentment is the highest wealth I can own." Let the words rest in your chest. Let them guide the way you look at your home, your work, your relationships, and your day. Carry them with you as a reminder that you already hold a treasure more valuable than anything you can buy, the treasure of a heart that knows how to rest in enough. And when the world tries to tell you otherwise, when it tries to convince you that you are lacking, remember the truth the Buddha taught. A contented mind is the richest mind. You can walk through this life with empty pockets, but a heart so full that no storm can empty it. That is the kind of wealth no market can sell, no thief can steal, and no change in circumstance can destroy. That is the wealth worth waking up for each day. Patience turns every struggle into a teacher. In a world that moves at incredible speed, patience has become one of the most undervalued virtues. Everything is instant messages, instant purchases, instant information. We are encouraged to believe that waiting is a waste of time and that slowness is weakness. But the Buddha taught that patience, khanti, is not weakness at all. It is strength. It is the quiet power that transforms difficulties into wisdom, delays into lessons, and struggles into opportunities for growth. When you begin your morning with the affirmation, "Patience turns every struggle into a teacher," you are choosing to see life through a different lens. You are deciding that you will not measure your days only by how quickly things happen or how easily they go. Instead, you will measure them by the depth of understanding you gain from every experience, even the ones that are uncomfortable, slow, or frustrating. Patience is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without it, you spend your days restless, anxious, and dissatisfied, always trying to rush through the middle to get to the end. With it, you understand that the middle is where the transformation happens. Just as a seed cannot become a tree overnight, your growth, spiritual, emotional, and personal, requires time, and time requires patience. In Buddhist teaching, impatience often arises from craving the desire for things to be different from what they are right now. We crave faster results, smoother paths, and immediate rewards. When those desires are not met, frustration grows. Patience softens that craving. It teaches you to meet this moment as it is, without constantly pushing it to become something else. This acceptance does not mean you stop working toward change. It means you stop fighting reality in the process. Think about the times in your life when you learned the most. Chances are, many of those lessons came from situations that tested your patience, waiting for an answer that took months to arrive, healing from an illness, working toward a goal that felt far away, repairing a relationship after a long silence. In the moment, those experiences may have felt like obstacles, but looking back, you can see that they were shaping you, teaching you resilience, humility, empathy, and endurance. Patience is also the foundation of compassion. When you are patient with yourself, you give yourself space to grow without constant self-criticism. You stop expecting perfection and start appreciating progress, however small. And when you are patient with others, you give them the freedom to grow at their own pace, without judgment. This is not only kind, it is wise, because forcing growth rarely works. Just as a flower blooms when it is ready, people open up and change when the conditions are right, not when they are pressured. In your morning practice, take a few moments to breathe deeply and repeat. Patience turns every struggle into a teacher. As you do, bring to mind something in your life right now that feels slow, difficult, or unresolved. Instead of seeing it as a wall blocking your way, imagine it as a wise teacher standing before you with lessons to give. Ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Is it teaching me endurance? Is it teaching me to let go of control? Is it teaching me to trust the process? Patience is not passive. It does not mean sitting back and doing nothing while you wait. It is active, engaged, waiting. It is continuing to take steps forward, but without the tension of needing immediate results. It is like walking through a forest path. You keep moving, but you also take the time to notice the sunlight filtering through the leaves, the sound of the wind in the trees, the feel of the earth beneath your feet. You are not just rushing to the end. You are present for the journey. In meditation, patience is essential. The mind will wander again and again. You might feel restless or bored, but each time you bring your attention back to the breath, you are practicing patience. You are teaching yourself that the present moment is enough, even if it is not filled with excitement. Over time, this patience in meditation spills over into the rest of life. You become less reactive, less desperate to fix every moment, and more able to rest in what is. Patience also transforms how you experience setbacks. Without it, every obstacle feels like failure. With it, every obstacle becomes part of the path. A delay is no longer wasted time, it is time given to you to prepare more deeply. A challenge is no longer just a difficulty, it is a training ground for your strength. A no is no longer rejection, it is redirection towards something better aligned with your journey. One of the greatest gifts patience gives is the ability to see clearly. When you rush, your vision narrows. You make decisions from urgency rather than wisdom. But when you are patient, you give yourself space to observe, reflect, and choose your next step with clarity. You are less likely to be swept away by emotion and more likely to act from a place of calm intention. Of course, patience is easier to practice when life is gentle. The true test comes when life is hard, when you are waiting for healing, for answers, for resolution. In those times, patience may feel impossible, but even then, remember, you do not have to be perfectly patient all the time. You only need to return to it, moment by moment. Even if you lose your patience 10 times in a day, the act of coming back to it is itself a form of patience. So tomorrow morning, before you step into the rush of the day, take a moment to sit quietly. Feel your breath. Let your shoulders relax. Say to yourself slowly, patience turns every struggle into a teacher. As you carry this truth into your day, notice when impatience arises. Instead of fighting it, pause. Ask what the moment is here to teach you. Trust that even in the waiting, you are moving forward not just toward your goal, but toward a deeper wisdom that will serve you for the rest of your life. Patience will not make every struggle easy, but it will make every struggle meaningful. It will turn the delays, the detours, and the difficulties into chapters of your growth. And when you look back years from now, you will see that the times you wanted to rush through were the very times that shaped you most. Kindness is my greatest legacy. Every morning when we wake, we are faced with a silent question: what will I leave behind in this world? For most people, this question doesn't come to the front of the mind. We get caught in routines, in work deadlines, in personal ambitions, in the noise of daily life. Yet, if we look honestly at what truly lasts, we see that wealth fades, possessions wear out, achievements are forgotten with time, but kindness endures. Long after you have left a room, people may forget your exact words, or even your face, but they will remember how you made them feel. When you begin your day with the affirmation, "Kindness is my greatest legacy," you are setting the intention to live in a way that plants seeds in the hearts of others, seeds that may grow long after you are gone. You are choosing to measure your life not only by what you accomplish, but by the love, understanding, and compassion you give. In Buddhist teaching, this is not just a moral choice, it is wisdom, because kindness is not weakness, and it is never wasted. It is the force that softens the hardest hearts, the medicine that heals invisible wounds, the light that can guide someone out of their darkest day. Kindness in Buddhism is often expressed through metta, or loving kindness, a deep, unconditional goodwill toward all beings, including yourself. Metta is not dependent on whether someone deserves it or whether it is convenient to give. It is an intention to wish for the happiness and well-being of others, no matter who they are, no matter what they have done. When you live this way, your kindness becomes something unshakable because it is not tied to external circumstances. It is part of who you are. The beauty of kindness is that it rarely requires grand gestures. In fact, it is most powerful in the smallest acts, looking someone in the eyes when you speak to them, holding the door open for a stranger, listening without interrupting, offering a smile to someone who seems weighed down. These moments may seem small to you, but they may mean everything to the person receiving them. Consider the ripple effect of a single act of kindness. You hold the elevator for someone, and because of that small courtesy, their morning feels lighter. They, in turn, speak more gently to the people they meet that day. Those people feel more seen and understood, and they carry that forward. This is how kindness spreads quietly, invisibly, but powerfully. It is like a pebble dropped into still water, sending waves outward in all directions. Kindness is also transformative when it is given in moments where it is least expected. It is easy to be kind to those who are kind to you. But when you meet rudeness with patience, hostility with understanding, or coldness with warmth, you create space for something miraculous. You break the cycle of negativity and open the possibility for change not just in others, but in yourself. This is the power the Buddha spoke of when he said, "Hatred is never overcome by hatred. Hatred is overcome by love." This is an eternal law. In the morning, as you repeat your affirmation, "Kindness is my greatest legacy," think about what this means in action. Ask yourself, what kind of presence do I want to be in the lives of others? When I leave a room, what energy will I leave behind? When people think of me years from now, will they remember the times I chose understanding over judgment, patience over irritation, generosity over selfishness? Kindness is not always easy. There will be days when you feel drained, when your patience is tested, when you are met with ingratitude. On those days, kindness may feel like too much to give. But this is where kindness becomes a true practice. It is in giving it when it costs you something that it becomes most meaningful. And remember, kindness is not about allowing others to harm you or about ignoring your own needs. It is about acting from compassion while maintaining healthy boundaries. You can be firm without being cruel, assertive without being harsh. Kindness must also be extended inward. Many people try to give to others from an empty cup, pushing themselves to be endlessly selfless while neglecting their own well-being. But if you constantly give without replenishing yourself, your kindness will eventually turn into resentment or exhaustion. The Buddha taught the importance of self-compassion as part of loving kindness. When you treat yourself with the same patience, understanding, and forgiveness you offer others, you strengthen your ability to give authentically. Kindness also changes the way you see the world. When you commit to it, you start noticing opportunities for it everywhere. Someone struggling with heavy bags, a friend who needs to be heard without judgment, a colleague who could use encouragement, even a stranger whose day could be brightened by a smile. You start seeing people not as obstacles or competitors, but as fellow beings on the same journey of struggle and hope. This shift in perspective creates not just acts of kindness, but a life built on kindness. Buddhist practice often includes a metta bhavana meditation, in which you intentionally cultivate feelings of loving kindness first toward yourself, then toward loved ones, then toward neutral people, then toward those you have difficulty with, and finally, toward all beings everywhere. You might repeat phrases like, "May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I live with ease," and then extend those wishes outward. May you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, may you live with ease. This practice not only strengthens your capacity for kindness, but also dissolves barriers between you and others, making compassion your natural state. Think of the legacy this creates. You may not see all the results of your kindness in your lifetime, but they will continue long after you are gone. A child you encourage today may grow into an adult who encourages countless others. A small act of generosity you give to someone in need may inspire them to help others in ways you will never know. Kindness does not disappear. It changes form and keeps moving. In the end, when you look back on your life, the things that will matter most are not the titles you held, the possessions you owned, or the numbers in your bank account. They will be the moments when you lightened someone's load, when you chose to forgive, when you offered hope, when you made someone feel valued. These moments are the threads of your legacy, and they are woven each day through acts of kindness. So tomorrow morning, as you rise, pause before the rush begins. Take a breath, place your hand over your heart, say to yourself, "Kindness is my greatest legacy." Let the words sink in. Let them guide your choices throughout the day, not just in the big moments, but in the hundreds of small moments where you can choose to add to the goodness in the world. And remember, every kind act, no matter how small, is a seed that will outlive you, growing quietly into a legacy that will continue to touch lives long after your own journey is complete. Forgiveness frees me more than it frees anyone else. When we are wronged, hurt, or betrayed, the natural human response is often to hold on to that pain. We replay the moment in our minds, analyze the words that were said, and think of what we could have done differently. We may even wait for the other person to apologize before we allow ourselves to feel at peace again. But in Buddhism, there is a profound understanding. Forgiveness is not something we do only for others. It is something we do to free ourselves. When you begin your day with the affirmation, "Forgiveness frees me more than it frees anyone else," you are choosing to release a burden that is heavier than you might realize. Resentment is like carrying a burning coal in your hand, waiting for the chance to throw it at the one who hurt you, but all the while, it is your own hand that burns. Forgiveness is the act of opening your hand, letting go of the coal, and freeing yourself from the pain of holding on. The Buddha taught that clinging to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. Yet, many of us live this way without noticing it. We tell ourselves that holding on to our anger will somehow protect us, make us stronger, or keep us from being hurt again. But in truth, it only keeps us tethered to the very event or person that harmed us. Forgiveness does not erase what happened, and it does not mean we must allow someone to hurt us again. It simply means we are choosing our own peace over the constant replay of pain. Forgiveness is also an act of wisdom because it acknowledges impermanence. People are not fixed. They change, grow, and make mistakes just as we do. The person who hurt you in the past is not the same person standing in front of you today, and you are not the same person who was hurt. Time moves forward, and yet, when we refuse to forgive, we stay trapped in a moment that no longer exists. Letting go of that moment allows you to return to the present, where healing is possible. In Buddhist practice, there is a meditation for forgiveness that begins with yourself. If I have hurt anyone, knowingly or unknowingly, I ask for their forgiveness. If anyone has hurt me, knowingly or unknowingly, I forgive them. If I have hurt myself, knowingly or unknowingly, I forgive myself. This meditation reminds us that forgiveness is not just about others. It is about repairing our relationship with ourselves. Many people carry guilt for years, punishing themselves for mistakes long past. But holding on to guilt does not undo harm, it only adds another layer of suffering. Self-forgiveness is the beginning of transformation. When you forgive, you do not forget, you remember without letting the memory control you. You no longer carry the emotion that once weighed you down. You see the event as part of the larger story of your life, one that taught you something about boundaries, strength, compassion, or trust. In this way, even pain becomes a teacher. It is important to understand that forgiveness is a process. You may wake one morning and feel ready to let go, only to have the anger return the next day. That does not mean you have failed, it means you are human. Forgiveness is often something we choose again and again, until one day we realize the weight is gone. Some wounds are deep, and healing them takes time. Forcing yourself to just get over it can create more harm than good. True forgiveness arises when you are ready, and it begins with the intention to want peace for yourself. In your morning reflection, as you affirm, "Forgiveness frees me more than it frees anyone else," you might visualize the person you are ready to forgive, not to excuse their actions, but to acknowledge that you no longer want to carry the weight they left behind. Imagine the resentment as a rope connecting you to them, pulling you back into the past. Then, imagine yourself gently placing that rope on the ground and stepping away, lightened by the release. Forgiveness also requires compassion. The person who hurt you was likely acting out of their own pain, ignorance, or fear. This does not justify what they did, but it can help you see that their actions were a reflection of their own suffering, not of your worth. The Buddha's teaching on compassion reminds us that everyone is shaped by causes and conditions, upbringing, experiences, emotions that influence their behavior. When we see this clearly, forgiveness becomes less about approval and more about understanding. The beauty of forgiveness is that it changes not only your heart, but also the energy you bring into the world. When you carry resentment, it can spill over into other areas of your life, relationships, work, even your health. Studies have shown that holding on to anger can increase stress, weaken the immune system, and harm physical well-being. Letting go, on the other hand, reduces tension, improves mood, and opens the heart to connection. Forgiveness is also an act of courage. It takes strength to release a grievance, especially when the hurt runs deep. But each time you choose to forgive, you are telling yourself, "My peace matters more than my pride. My healing matters more than my hurt." This is not weakness, this is mastery over your own mind. Sometimes, the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You may replay your own mistakes again and again, wishing you could undo them. But the past is fixed. The present is open. Self-forgiveness allows you to step out of the cycle of self-punishment and into the path of self-improvement. You acknowledge what you did, take responsibility, learn the lesson, and then let go. Without self-forgiveness, growth becomes nearly impossible because you are too busy holding yourself hostage to the past. The Buddha once said, "Holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned." Each morning, as you affirm your intention to forgive, you are putting down that coal. You are choosing to walk through your day without carrying a flame that harms you with every step. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation is always possible or even wise. There are times when the healthiest choice is to forgive from a distance. You can release the resentment without inviting someone back into your life. You can wish them peace while protecting your own. This is the balance of compassion and wisdom that lies at the heart of Buddhist practice. So tomorrow morning, sit in stillness before the day begins. Close your eyes, take a slow breath in and a slow breath out. Whisper to yourself, "Forgiveness frees me more than it frees anyone else." Feel the truth of it. Feel the space it creates in your chest, the lightness it brings to your heart. Carry that intention into your day, and when the old wounds try to speak again, meet them with kindness, not to them, but to yourself. And over time, you will notice that the past loosens its grip. The memories will still be there, but they will no longer sting. The names and faces that once brought you pain will no longer have the power to disturb your peace. You will have taken back your freedom not because the other person changed, but because you chose to set yourself free. That is the true gift of forgiveness. It makes you whole again. It clears the space for love, joy, and compassion to return. It allows you to walk lightly in the world, unburdened by the chains of yesterday. And it leaves you with the quiet, steady knowledge that you are no longer defined by what hurt you. You are defined by how you chose to heal. Simplicity is the path back to myself. Life today is full of things, full of noise, full of demands. We live in a world that tells us the more we have, the more complete we are. More possessions, more achievements, more goals, more connections, more activity. And yet, the more we try to fill ourselves with more, the more disconnected we often feel from our own hearts, from the present moment, from the simple joy of being alive. In Buddhism, there is a teaching that what we seek is often already here, but it is buried under layers of distraction. We look for peace in complexity, not realizing that the way back to ourselves is often through removing, not adding. When you begin your morning with the affirmation, "Simplicity is the path back to myself," you are reminding yourself that you do not need to keep running, gathering, or grasping to find what matters. You are telling yourself that the truest version of you does not live in the excess, it lives in the quiet, uncluttered space within. Simplicity is not about deprivation or giving up everything you own. It is about understanding the difference between what is necessary and what is extra. It is about recognizing which things nourish your mind and heart, and which things drain them. In the Buddhist monastic tradition, monks and nuns live with very few possessions, often only their robes, a bowl, and a handful of personal items. Yet they are among the most peaceful people you will meet. Why? Because their lives are uncluttered, leaving space for what matters: mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. When you simplify, you create room not just in your home, but in your mind. Think about how it feels to walk into a space that is clean, quiet, and open, compared to one that is full of noise, clutter, and distraction. Your mind is the same way. Every unfinished task, every object you don't need, every unnecessary commitment pulls at your attention, even if you don't consciously notice it. The more you remove what doesn't serve you, the more energy you have for what does. Simplicity is also about slowing down. In our rush to accomplish as much as possible, we skim over the surface of life, missing the depth in each moment. We eat quickly, often while looking at screens. We walk quickly, thinking about where we're going instead of noticing where we are. We listen halfway while already preparing our response. But simplicity invites us to do one thing at a time, fully. To eat, just to eat. To walk, just to walk. To listen, just to listen. This is the heart of mindfulness, to be completely here without scattering ourselves in 100 directions. The Buddha often taught that craving the constant wanting of more is a source of suffering. Simplicity is the antidote. It says, "What I have now is enough." It allows you to enjoy the taste of your tea without needing a dozen flavors. It allows you to enjoy a conversation without needing it to be perfect. It allows you to enjoy your home, your clothes, your work, and your relationships without endlessly comparing them to someone else's. When you practice simplicity, you also deepen your gratitude. Without constant distraction, you start noticing the beauty in what's already here, the morning light coming through your window, the sound of rain, the feeling of clean sheets, the scent of a flower on your walk. These things were always there, but in the busyness of life, they often went unseen. Simplicity makes them visible again. To begin practicing simplicity, start small. In the morning, before you look at your phone or think about your tasks, take a few minutes to sit in silence. Breathe. Notice your surroundings. Ask yourself, what do I really need today? What can I release? This might mean letting go of an unnecessary errand, saying no to something that doesn't align with your priorities, or simply deciding not to multitask. Simplicity can also mean speaking less but with more meaning. In Buddhism, there is a practice called right speech, which encourages speaking only when it is true, necessary, and kind. When you stop filling conversations with unnecessary words, your words begin to carry more weight. People listen more closely, and you feel more connected to what you say. Another way simplicity brings you back to yourself is by clarifying your values. When life is crowded with obligations and noise, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters to you. But when you strip away what is non-essential, your priorities become clearer. You might realize that what you truly want is not a bigger house but more time with your loved ones, not more money but more freedom, not more recognition but more inner peace. Of course, living simply in a complex world can feel like swimming against the current. Society often equates busyness with worth and accumulation with success. Choosing simplicity may mean making different choices from those around you. It may mean you have fewer possessions, fewer commitments, or a slower pace of life than others. But the reward is that your life feels like your own, not like a race you are running because everyone else is. In Buddhist practice, simplicity is not just a lifestyle choice, it is a path to liberation. When your life is lighter, your mind is lighter. When you need less, you fear less. And when you are not constantly chasing, you can rest in the moment as it is. This is how simplicity brings you back to yourself. It clears away the noise so you can hear your own heart again. Tomorrow morning, when you wake, before the day fills with movement, sit quietly and breathe in the affirmation, "Simplicity is the path back to myself." Let the words sink in. As you go through the day, notice where things feel unnecessarily complicated. Your schedule, your surroundings, your conversations, even your thoughts. See if you can soften them, make them lighter. Each time you choose simplicity, you are choosing to return to what is real, what is important, and what truly brings peace. And over time, you will see that simplicity is not about having less. It is about having more of what matters. More space to breathe, more time to notice, more clarity to choose, more peace to live. This is the kind of wealth no possession can match, and it is always within your reach, one simple step at a time. Presence is the greatest gift I can give to life. In a world where we are constantly pushed toward the next thing, the next task, the next goal, the next achievement, it is easy to move through life without actually being in it. Our bodies are in one place, but our minds are elsewhere, worrying about tomorrow, replaying yesterday, scrolling through other people's lives, or imagining what's next. We live like travelers on a train, staring out the window, but never truly noticing the scenery, because we are too focused on when we will arrive. Buddhism teaches that life is only ever happening in the present moment. The past exists in memory. The future exists in imagination. The present is the only place where we can truly live, breathe, and act. When you wake each morning and affirm, "Presence is the greatest gift I can give to life," you are reminding yourself that your attention, your full, undivided awareness, is the most valuable thing you can offer, both to yourself and to the world. Presence is more than just being physically somewhere. It is the practice of bringing your mind and heart into alignment with where your body is. It means that when you are eating not checking your phone, not thinking about your next meeting, not planning tomorrow's errands. When you are speaking with someone, you are with them not half in the conversation, half in your own thoughts. When you are walking, you are feeling each step, not racing ahead to where you are going. Why is this so important? Because life is made of moments, and the quality of your life depends on the quality of your attention in those moments. You could be surrounded by beauty, love, and peace, but if your mind is somewhere else, you will miss it. You could have a meaningful conversation with someone you love, but if you are distracted, you will lose the connection. Presence is what allows you to truly receive the gifts that life is offering right now. In Buddhist practice, mindfulness, sati, is the art of presence. It is the ability to be aware of what is happening as it is happening, without judgment. Mindfulness is not about making every moment perfect. It is about being with the moment exactly as it is. The food might be simple, but you taste it fully. The conversation might be brief, but you hear it fully. The walk might be short, but you feel it fully. When you are present, you also give a gift to others. In a world where everyone is competing for attention, offering your full focus to another person is an act of love. Think about how it feels when someone listens to you without distraction. No phone in their hand, no glance toward the clock, no rush to give advice or interrupt. They simply listen. It makes you feel seen, valued, and respected. You have the power to give that gift to the people in your life every day, and it costs nothing but your attention. Presence also deepens your relationship with yourself. Many of us go through days without really noticing how we feel physically, emotionally, or mentally. We override our body's signals, ignore our heart's needs, and push past our limits because we are too focused on getting things done. But when you practice presence, you start to notice, "I am tired, and I need to rest. I am feeling tense, and I need to breathe. I am feeling joy, and I want to savor it." This awareness allows you to take care of yourself before burnout, resentment, or illness take root. One of the simplest ways to cultivate presence is through the breath. The breath is always here, always in the present moment. By pausing and focusing on your inhale and exhale, you anchor yourself back into now. This is why Buddhist meditation often begins with following the breath, because it is the bridge between the body and the mind, the anchor that keeps you from drifting too far into the past or future. Presence is also what transforms ordinary experiences into extraordinary ones. Washing the dishes can become an act of mindfulness when you feel the warm water on your hands, hear the clinking of the plates, and notice the rhythm of your movements. Drinking tea can become a meditation when you feel the warmth of the cup, inhale the aroma, and taste each sip fully. Walking can become a spiritual practice when you feel the ground under your feet and notice the life around you. The truth is, we do not know how many moments we will get in this life. Every moment spent distracted is a moment we will never get back, but every moment spent in presence is a moment fully lived. You may not remember every detail, but you will carry the feeling of having been here for your own life. In the morning, as you repeat the affirmation, "Presence is the greatest gift I can give to life." Imagine yourself walking through the day as if each moment were the only one you had. When you eat breakfast, taste it. When you speak to someone, really see them. When you work, give your full attention. And when you rest, rest completely. Of course, the mind will wander. That is its nature. Presence is not about never being distracted. It is about noticing when you are distracted and gently returning to now. Each return is a victory. Each return is a strengthening of your ability to live fully. And as you practice, you may notice something profound. Presence slows down time. Not literally, but experientially. A day spent in presence feels longer, richer, more meaningful than a day spent rushing and multitasking. You notice more, you connect more, you remember more. Life feels less like it is slipping through your fingers and more like it is unfolding right in your hands. So tomorrow morning, before the day begins to pull you in 100 directions, pause, take a deep breath, feel your feet on the ground, whisper to yourself, "Presence is the greatest gift I can give to life." And then, give that gift not just to others, but to yourself. Because in the end, presence is what makes life real. Without it, we are only moving through shadows of what could be. With it, we are here, truly here, awake to the miracle of being alive, one precious moment at a time. Inner peace is built, not found. Many people spend their whole lives searching for peace, as if it were a place they could travel to, a treasure hidden somewhere out in the world. They think, if I move to a quieter town, if I change my job, if I meet the right person, if I have enough money, then I will finally have peace. And while external changes can sometimes make life easier, Buddhist teaching reminds us of a deeper truth. Real peace is not something we stumble upon by accident. It is something we create within ourselves, moment by moment, through our thoughts, actions, and choices. When you wake each morning and affirm, "Inner peace is built, not found," you are taking responsibility for the quality of your inner world. You are acknowledging that peace is not a gift handed to you by circumstances. It is a skill you can cultivate, a habit you can strengthen, and a structure you can build brick by brick. In Buddhism, peace comes from understanding the nature of the mind. The mind is restless by default. It jumps to the past, races into the future, reacts to every sound, thought, and feeling. Left untrained, it becomes like a house with open doors and windows, letting in every storm that passes. But when you learn to work with your mind through mindfulness, meditation, compassion, and wisdom, you begin to build walls that protect your inner space, not to shut the world out, but to keep the chaos from controlling you. Think of inner peace like a garden. If you neglect it, weeds of worry, resentment, and fear will grow quickly. But if you tend to it daily, planting seeds of kindness, gratitude, patience, and understanding, it becomes a place of beauty and refuge. Gardens do not appear overnight. They are built with steady, consistent care. The same is true for peace. One of the first bricks in building peace is acceptance. This does not mean you approve of every situation. It means you stop fighting reality. So much of our suffering comes not from what is happening, but from the way we resist it. We wish things were different. We cling to the way they used to be, or we fear what they might become. Acceptance says, "This is what is here right now. I may not like it, but I can choose how to meet it." This shift is powerful because it puts your focus back on what you can control, your response, rather than wasting energy on what you cannot. Another brick is letting go. We cannot carry peace if our hands are full of grudges, regrets, and attachments to things that are always changing. Letting go is not about losing it, is about freeing space for something better to enter. When you release what weighs you down, you make room for lightness, for presence, for joy. Patience is another essential brick. Building peace is not a one-day project. Some days you will feel calm and centered, and other days your mind will feel stormy and unsettled. That's normal. Just as a builder keeps working even on cloudy days, you keep practicing even when it feels hard. Each moment of returning to your breath, each moment of choosing kindness over anger, Each moment of pausing before reacting is another brick in the structure of your inner peace. Mindfulness is the foundation beneath it all. Without mindfulness, you cannot see clearly what is happening inside you, and without seeing clearly, you cannot build wisely. Mindfulness allows you to notice when your thoughts are pulling you into anxiety, when your emotions are about to overflow, and when your body is asking for rest. It gives you the space to choose a peaceful response rather than an automatic reaction. In Buddhist practice, meditation is one of the most effective tools for building this kind of awareness. Sitting quietly, you watch your thoughts come and go like clouds in the sky. You notice sensations in your body. You follow the rhythm of your breathing. At first, the mind may feel noisy and unsettled, but over time, you learn that you are not the storm, you are the sky that holds it. This understanding is at the heart of peace. Compassion is another material in this building process, not only for others, but for yourself. You cannot construct a peaceful inner world on a foundation of self-criticism and harshness. When you treat yourself with the same patience and understanding you would offer a dear friend, you create an inner atmosphere that feels safe and nurturing. And the more peace you have inside, the more peace you can bring to others. As you carry this affirmation into your day, inner peace is built, not found. Remember that building peace does not mean avoiding difficulty. In fact, challenges are part of the construction process. They reveal where the walls of your peace are weak, where you need to strengthen your foundations. A stressful conversation can be an opportunity to practice calm listening. A disappointment can be a chance to practice letting go. An unexpected change can be a lesson in flexibility. Over time, you may notice that the storms of life still come, but they do not shake you as easily. You still feel emotions, but they do not control you. You still face problems, but you meet them with clarity instead of panic. This is how you know your inner peace is becoming strong. It is not the absence of noise, but the ability to stay steady in the middle of it. So, tomorrow morning, before the day begins, sit for a moment in stillness. Close your eyes, feel your breath. Imagine building your peace brick by brick: acceptance, letting go, patience, mindfulness, compassion. See yourself creating a space inside where you can always return, no matter what is happening outside. Whisper to yourself, inner peace is built, not found. Let it be a reminder that you are the builder, and every choice you make today is another step toward the life you want to live. And when the day ends, reflect. Which bricks did I add today? Where did I stay calm? Where did I choose understanding instead of judgment? Where did I pause before reacting? Each of these moments is a piece of your construction. Over weeks, months, and years, these moments will form a solid, unshakable inner home, a home you carry with you everywhere, a home that no one and nothing can take away. I will walk through today with compassion. When you open your eyes in the morning, you may notice that your mind immediately begins to sort through the unfinished business of yesterday. It may replay a conversation you wish had gone differently, a mistake you made, a task left undone. Or it may leap ahead to the list of challenges waiting for you today, the emails, the bills, the people whose moods might test your patience. In this quiet moment before the day begins, it is so easy to let the mind choose tension as its first companion. But in Buddhism, we are reminded that the very first thoughts we invite into our hearts can set the tone for the entire day. This is why telling yourself, I will walk through today with compassion, is not a small act. It is the setting of a compass. It is the choice to align your steps not toward conflict or self-criticism, but toward understanding, gentleness, and care. The Buddha taught that compassion, karuna, is not a luxury. It is an essential quality of an awakened heart. It is not just a feeling, but a way of being. When you choose compassion, you do not simply decide to be nice to people. You choose to see the humanity in them, even when it is hidden under layers of anger, fear, or ignorance. You decide to see beyond someone's sharp words and ask, what pain is speaking through them? You decide to soften your own inner walls so that your presence becomes a refuge rather than another battlefield. But compassion, as Buddhism teaches, begins at home in your own mind and heart. Many people can extend understanding to others yet remain their own harshest critics. You may forgive a friend for cancelling plans, but replay your own small failures for days. You may comfort a loved one for falling short, but berate yourself for the same thing. This imbalance is like trying to pour water from an empty cup. If you begin your day attacking yourself internally, you carry a quiet war into every encounter. Compassion toward yourself is not self-indulgence. It is the soil in which all other compassion grows. Imagine beginning your morning with this intention: I will walk through today with compassion toward myself. This means that when you notice your mind calling you lazy, you will pause and speak back to it gently. I am doing my best in this moment. It means that when you make a small mistake, you will remind yourself that mistakes are not proof of unworthiness, but signs that you are learning. It means that when you feel tired, you will give yourself rest without branding it as weakness. And when you feel strong, you will offer your energy with joy rather than as a performance for approval. Self-compassion also means respecting your own boundaries. It is an act of compassion to say no when saying yes would harm your well-being. In Buddhist practice, this is called skillful action. It is not selfishness, but wisdom. You cannot be a steady light for others if you burn yourself to exhaustion. Once you have softened toward yourself, compassion can naturally extend outward. The phrase, I will walk through today with compassion, becomes a silent promise to every person you meet. You carry the awareness that each human being has their own story, most of which you will never know. The elderly man who speaks slowly at the counter might be lonely and grateful for a little conversation. The mother snapping at her child in the store might be carrying the weight of 3 jobs and no rest. The colleague who seems cold might be grieving quietly for someone they have lost. Buddhism teaches that when we understand the causes of suffering, we stop taking other people's behavior personally. A person's harshness is often a shield they forged in hard times. Their indifference may be the numbness of a heart that has been hurt too often. If we can see this not to excuse harmful actions, but to understand their roots, we can respond without adding more harm to the world. Walking with compassion also transforms how you see conflict. Instead of rushing to win an argument, you may pause and ask yourself, will my words plant peace or deepen the wound? Instead of holding on to resentment, you may remember that clinging to anger is like holding a hot coal. It burns you far more than it burns the other. In Buddhist practice, forgiveness is not always about telling someone that what they did was acceptable. It is about releasing the grip of bitterness on your own heart. Compassion is not weakness. It is not blind tolerance of every behavior. True compassion sometimes requires firmness. If someone is harming you or others, compassion may mean stepping back, speaking the truth, or setting a boundary, not with the intention to punish, but with the intention to prevent harm. The Buddha himself demonstrated that compassion is a balance between loving kindness, panya, and wisdom, panya. One without the other can lead to imbalance. Kindness without wisdom can enable harm, and wisdom without kindness can become cold. As you walk through your day with compassion, you may notice a change in your own nervous system. Situations that would once have triggered defensiveness or anger may instead spark curiosity. You may find yourself listening more than speaking, observing more than judging. You may notice that your shoulders relax, your jaw softens, your breath deepens, not because life is suddenly free of challenges, but because you have chosen not to meet every challenge as an enemy. There will be days when this practice feels easy, when kindness flows without effort. But there will also be days when compassion feels heavy, when you are tired, impatient, or tempted to retreat into self-protection. On those days, remember that compassion is a practice, not a performance. You are not required to feel perfectly loving toward everyone at all times. What matters is your intention to keep returning to compassion each time you notice yourself drifting away. Like the breath in meditation, you come back again and again without scolding yourself for wandering. And here is the quiet beauty of walking with compassion. It changes not only how you feel inside, but how the world feels around you. People sense when they are seen without judgment. They open up in ways they would not in the presence of criticism. Even strangers can feel the difference in your energy. Your eyes soften, your voice steadies, your body language becomes more open. In this way, compassion becomes contagious. When you lay your head down at night, you will not measure your day by how many tasks you completed or how many arguments you won, but by how many hearts you met with gentleness, your own included. And when you wake the next morning and whisper again, "I will walk through today with compassion," you will be continuing a practice that has the power to transform not only your own life, but the lives of everyone who crosses your path. I let go of what I cannot control, and I find peace in surrender. There's a reason the Buddha taught so much about letting go. It is not because life will always hurt you or because everything will eventually slip away, although both are true, but because clinging to what we cannot hold is the root of our suffering. Every morning when you open your eyes, you step into a world that will not bend perfectly to your will. Plans will shift. People will speak or act in ways you did not expect. Opportunities will appear and disappear without asking your permission. If your peace depends on everything going your way, then you will never know peace. When you wake and tell yourself, "I let go of what I cannot control, and I find peace in surrender," you are not giving up on life. You are not saying, "I no longer care." You are saying, "I choose not to drown in the river by trying to push it upstream. I choose to float, to trust the current, to walk my path without being destroyed by what I cannot change." Look at your own mind for a moment. How often has worry visited you in the morning? It might start with a thought about the day ahead, an argument from yesterday that still stings, a task that feels impossible, a fear of how someone might respond to you. That thought can grow like a vine, wrapping around your chest until it feels hard to breathe. This is what clinging does. It tightens and tightens until there is no room for peace. Buddhism teaches us the concept of anicca, impermanence. Everything you can see, touch, feel, and even imagine is in constant motion. Nothing stays the same. People change. Weather changes. Emotions rise and fall. Your own body is changing in this very moment, cell by cell. When you fight impermanence, you fight reality itself, and reality always wins. The moment you learn to release your grip and accept that you cannot hold the river still, something remarkable happens. You feel light. You feel as if a weight has been taken from your chest, because you are no longer carrying the impossible burden of controlling the uncontrollable. Imagine holding a handful of sand. The tighter you close your fist, the more it slips away. But if you open your palm, the sand rests gently in your hand. Life is like that. If you cling too tightly to people, to circumstances, to expectations, they slip away and hurt you in the process. But if you hold them lightly, appreciating them in the present without demanding they stay the same, you find freedom. When you repeat this affirmation in the morning, let it not just be words, let it be a practice. Think about the things that are weighing on you right now. Maybe it's a relationship you wish would heal, but the other person will not meet you halfway. Maybe it's a job that drains you, yet circumstances don't allow you to change it today. Maybe it's the deep ache of uncertainty about the future. As you inhale, imagine you are gathering all those worries into your chest. As you exhale, imagine opening your hands and letting them drift away, like petals carried on a gentle stream. This is the art of surrender, not throwing life away, but placing it gently in the hands of the universe. The Buddha once said, "You can only lose what you cling to." At first, this sounds painful. Who wants to lose? But look deeper. It is not life's nature to take things from you out of cruelty. Life is simply a flowing process. What you lose was never meant to be held forever. What is yours in this moment is yours to cherish now, not to chain to your heart. The more you understand this, the more peace you find, because you stop measuring life by what stays and start appreciating it for what is. Letting go is also an act of trust. Trust that the universe does not need your constant struggle to keep spinning. Trust that every ending is the doorway to a new beginning, even if you cannot yet see it. Trust that you have survived everything you once thought you couldn't, and you will survive this too. And letting go does not mean doing nothing. It does not mean passively accepting mistreatment or refusing to take action when it is needed. Buddhism teaches balance equanimity, the ability to act with wisdom while holding the outcome lightly. You can work hard for your goals without being destroyed if they fail. You can love deeply without trying to possess the one you love. You can care for the world without being consumed by its chaos. This is the middle path. In practical life, here's what this affirmation might change. When someone speaks harshly to you, instead of rehearsing the conversation in your mind all day, you notice the sting, breathe through it, and let it pass. When plans fall apart, instead of spiraling into frustration, you adapt. When fear about the future arises, instead of trying to predict every possible outcome, you remind yourself that you only need to live this one moment well. The truth is, much of what we suffer over has nothing to do with the present moment. It's either something from the past we keep replaying, or something in the future we keep trying to control. Both are illusions in the sense that they do not exist right now. Letting go pulls you out of those illusions and back into what is real. This breath, this heartbeat, this moment. And in this moment, there is almost always more peace than we realize. So tomorrow morning, before you scroll through your phone, before you check your messages, before you even step out of bed, place your hand on your heart and whisper to yourself, "I let go of what I cannot control, and I find peace in surrender." Let the words sink into you. Let them loosen the knots in your chest. Let them remind you that life does not need to be wrestled into submission for it to be beautiful. The river is already flowing. Your only task is to stop fighting the current and start moving with it. And when you do, you will find that peace has been waiting for you all along, not in the things you've been trying to control, but in the release itself. I release my grip on yesterday and welcome today fully. When you open your eyes in the morning, there is often a subtle weight pressing on your heart before you even take your first conscious breath. It might be the shadow of an unresolved conversation, the sting of a past mistake, the echo of a disappointment, or the lingering ache of something or someone you lost. These ghosts of yesterday often slip quietly into our present, coloring the way we think, the way we feel, and the way we act. In Buddhism, this clinging to the past is seen as one of the most common causes of suffering. The Buddha taught that the mind, when untamed, loves to wander into what has already happened, replaying it as if doing so could change it. But the truth is, no amount of mental revisiting can undo even a single moment of yesterday. What has passed is beyond the reach of your hands. Trying to hold on to it is like grasping at smoke. It only slips further away while leaving your palms smelling faintly of what once burned. When you tell yourself in the morning, "I release my grip on yesterday and welcome today fully," you are not pretending the past never happened. You are not erasing it or denying its lessons. Instead, you are loosening the chains it has wrapped around your mind. You are allowing yesterday to take its rightful place as a teacher, not a jailer. The difference between learning from the past and living in the past is the difference between freedom and imprisonment. To make this affirmation real, you must engage more than just your words. You must engage your breath, your awareness, your heart. As you say it, take a slow, deep breath, imagining that each inhale draws in the clean, untouched air of a new day, and each exhale releases the stale dust of what no longer serves you. Feel the tension in your body begin to soften, as if your shoulders remember that they do not need to carry the weight of every memory. There is a kind of sacred power in mornings because they represent rebirth. Every day, without fail, the sun rises again, bathing the earth in light regardless of what storms passed the day before. The sky does not cling to the clouds of yesterday. The ocean does not try to pull back waves that have already touched the shore. Nature teaches us this lesson every single day. Life only moves forward. If the very fabric of the world is made to renew itself each morning, then so are you. Releasing your grip on yesterday does not mean forgetting the pain you've endured. It means refusing to let it define the peace you are allowed to feel today. Imagine your mind as a still pond. If you keep tossing in stones from the past, the water will never settle, and you will never see the beauty reflected in it right now. The act of letting go is like placing your hands in your lap and allowing the surface to smooth. This practice becomes even more powerful when paired with compassion for yourself and for others. Perhaps you said something you regret. Perhaps someone hurt you deeply. The mind loves to revisit these moments, replaying them like an old film that always ends the same way. But each time you relive it, you give the wound a fresh cut. By saying, "I release my grip on yesterday," you are applying the balm of forgiveness, not because the other person necessarily deserves it, but because your heart deserves peace. Forgiveness is not approval, it is freedom. This teaching aligns with the Buddhist concept of anicca, impermanence. Everything joy, sorrow, success, failure passes in time. No matter how heavy or sweet a moment feels, it cannot remain. The trouble begins when we fight this truth, when we demand that the good moments stay forever and the bad moments vanish instantly. But when you accept impermanence fully, you stop clinging. You stop resenting. You begin to flow with life instead of against it. Every morning, when you affirm this truth, you are choosing to arrive in your own life, not halfway, with one foot in yesterday's shadow, but fully, with both feet planted in the sunlight of today. You are training your mind to see the day before you as a fresh canvas rather than a continuation of an old, unfinished painting. Some people might say, "But my past is who I am." In reality, your past is only the road you've traveled. It is not the destination. If you keep staring at the path behind you, you will stumble over what is in front of you. The Buddha often used the metaphor of carrying a raft. Once you have crossed the river, you do not keep carrying the raft on your back. You set it down. Yesterday is your raft. It carried you to this shore. Now, let it rest. On mornings when it feels especially hard to release the past, you can turn this affirmation into a ritual. Before you even step out of bed, close your eyes and imagine placing every heavy thought, every regret, every lingering emotion into a small paper boat. See yourself walking to the edge of a quiet river and setting the boat upon the water. Watch as the current carries it away. Do not run after it. Do not wonder where it goes. Trust that the river knows its own course. Then, when you open your eyes, allow your first step out of bed to feel lighter, freer, more present. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Over time, you will notice that your mornings feel less burdened. You will greet the day with clearer eyes and a calmer heart. And in that calm, you will begin to notice the beauty you once overlooked, the way the light filters through your window, the quiet hum of the early world, the warmth of your first sip of tea. These simple moments are not small. They are the threads from which peace is woven. So, tomorrow morning, before your mind starts chasing the shadows of yesterday, pause, breathe. Tell yourself, I release my grip on yesterday and welcome today fully. And mean it, not just with your mouth, but with your whole being. Because peace is not found by rearranging the past. It is found by inhabiting the present. And the present is here, now, waiting for you to arrive. I choose peace over perfection. When the first light of morning slips quietly into your room, there is a moment before your thoughts begin to scatter into the 1,000 little worries of the day. It is in this space, this soft, unclaimed beginning, that you have the chance to plant the seed of your day's intention. Many people unknowingly plant seeds of restlessness without even realizing it. The moment they wake, their mind starts listing everything that must be done, everything that is not yet right, and everything that should be improved. This is the trap of perfection, the belief that peace will come only when life is free of flaws, when all loose ends are tied, when every problem is solved. But Buddhism teaches us a different truth. Peace is not the reward for perfection. Peace is the path you choose in the midst of imperfection. When you begin your morning by telling yourself, I choose peace over perfection, you are releasing the invisible chain that ties your happiness to conditions you cannot always control. You are allowing yourself to breathe in the now, rather than suffocate in the endless what should be. This is not the same as giving up on growth or responsibility. Instead, it is about understanding that your inner state does not have to wait for the outer world to be flawless. Even if the room is messy, even if work is unfinished, even if life is unpredictable, you can still carry peace within you, like a calm lake untouched by the wind. The Buddha often spoke about the middle path, avoiding the extremes that pull us into suffering. Perfectionism is one such extreme. It demands too much, it never rests, and it whispers that you are never enough until everything is flawless. But peace is humble. Peace is found in sipping your tea slowly, in breathing deeply without rushing, in smiling at the sound of birds outside your window. It is in accepting that life, like the lotus, blooms beautifully from muddy water. As you rise and begin your day, you might notice thoughts creeping in. I must fix this. I must improve that. I must become better before I can be happy. Each time this happens, gently return to your morning affirmation, I choose peace over perfection. Imagine these words like a soft hand on your shoulder, reminding you that you are allowed to be at ease even while the world is unfinished. The floor can be swept later. The emails can wait a moment. Your inner peace cannot. In mindfulness practice, we learn that peace is not a place we reach. It is something we create in every moment, through awareness and acceptance. If your mind is restless because something is out of place, bring your attention to the one thing that is perfectly in place, your breath. It is always here, always steady, always yours. As you breathe, you will begin to see that imperfection is not an obstacle to peace, but part of the fabric of life itself. A crooked branch can still hold a bird. A cloudy sky can still let through the light. A flawed day can still hold moments of joy. Choosing peace over perfection also means releasing the pressure we put on ourselves to be flawless in the eyes of others. How much of your inner tension comes from worrying about how you appear? How much energy do you lose trying to match an image of yourself that is never satisfied? This morning, you can decide to step off that exhausting treadmill. You can choose to measure your worth not by the smoothness of your path, but by the openness of your heart. The practice is simple but powerful. Whenever you feel the tightness of perfectionism, that inner voice telling you not enough, pause, place a hand on your heart, and repeat, I choose peace over perfection. Feel the truth of those words sink into you. Over time, this choice becomes a habit, and this habit becomes your nature. You begin to approach challenges not with panic but with presence, not with self-criticism but with compassion. Life will never be free from flaws, and it was never meant to be. If you wait for perfection before allowing yourself peace, you will wait forever. But if you choose peace now, you will find that imperfections lose their sharpness. They become part of the scenery, not the whole story. You will walk through your day with the calm assurance that you are enough. This moment is enough, and nothing needs to be perfect for you to be at peace. So, as the morning unfolds and the world calls you into motion, carry this truth with you. In every task, in every interaction, in every breath, remind yourself, peace is my choice, not perfection. And with that choice, you will find that no matter, I welcome this day without resistance. When you open your eyes each morning, the world is already moving, the sun is climbing, the wind is passing through the trees. Life has been unfolding long before your first breath of the day. Yet for many people, the very first thing they do is resist it. They remember the tasks waiting for them and feel heavy. They recall yesterday's disappointments and feel bitter. They think about the things that could go wrong and feel tense. This quiet but powerful resistance often begins before their feet even touch the floor, a silent, pushing back against life as it is. And yet, the more you resist, the more suffering you invite. Buddhism teaches that suffering is born not from what is, but from our resistance to what is. The Buddha compared this to being shot with two arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable reality, the event, the fact, the circumstance. The second arrow is the one we shoot ourselves with, our resistance, our mental struggle, our refusal to accept what has already happened. The first arrow may sting, but the second arrow makes the wound far deeper. When you wake in the morning, you have the choice not to fire that second arrow. You have the choice to welcome the day without resistance. To welcome the day does not mean you must pretend that everything is perfect or that there is no pain. It means meeting reality as it is without trying to push it away before you have even lived it. It means letting go of the idea that peace will come only when life matches your preferences. This morning, tell yourself, I welcome this day without resistance. Let these words open a space inside you where the world can enter, as it is with its clouds and its sunshine, its noise and its silence, its challenges and its joys. You might notice that resistance often hides in small places. It can be in the sigh you make when the alarm rings. It can be in the way you dread a meeting or a chore before it even begins. It can be in the way you wish it were Saturday when it's only Monday, or in how you replay an argument from yesterday while pouring your tea. All of these are moments where the mind says, I wish it were different. But wishing the morning away will not change it. It will only steal your peace. When you welcome the day, you are saying, even if I do not control what will happen, I can choose how I will meet it. Welcoming the day is an act of courage. It is the courage to stand in the unknown and say, yes, I am here. You do not need to know what will happen at noon or in the evening. You only need to be here for the next breath. Just as a river does not resist the stones in its path, you can flow around whatever the day places before you. Sometimes the river moves quickly, sometimes slowly, but it always moves forward without resentment toward the rocks. Mindfulness offers you tools to practice this. When you wake, before reaching for your phone or your thoughts, take 3 slow, deep breaths. Feel your chest rise and fall. Notice the sounds around you, maybe birds, maybe distant traffic, maybe the soft hum of silence. Let yourself be fully in the moment before the mind begins to scatter. In that space, repeat softly, I welcome this day without resistance. You are telling your mind and body that they do not need to fight reality. They need only to meet it. This practice will transform how you face difficulties. Imagine you wake to rain on a day you planned a picnic. Resistance says, "This ruins everything." Welcome says, "The rain has come. I will see what beauty it brings." Resistance closes doors. Welcome opens them. When you welcome the day, you find possibilities you could not see while you were pushing against it. The Buddha often reminded his followers that life is impermanent. The good, the bad, the joyful, the painful, all of it passes. When you welcome the day, you also welcome the truth that nothing lasts forever. If today is difficult, it will pass. If today is beautiful, it will pass. Your role is not to trap the good or reject the bad, but to move with both as they come. In doing so, you become like the sky, holding every kind of weather without clinging to the sunshine or resisting the rain. Welcoming without resistance also changes how you treat others. When you meet people today, you might find them in good moods or bad moods, kind or impatient, understanding or distracted. If you resist who they are in that moment, you will create tension. If you welcome them not by approving of unkindness, but by seeing them as they are, you create space for compassion. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is to allow someone to be where they are without forcing them to match your expectations. The heart that welcomes is a heart that rests. It does not need to control every detail. It does not waste energy building walls against what is already here. This does not mean you give up on action or change. It means you act from a place of acceptance rather than a place of struggle. If there is something in the day you can change, you change it calmly. If there is something you cannot change, you meet it with grace. Either way, you are free from the chains of resistance. This freedom is not just for the easy mornings when the sun is warm and the air is gentle. It is for the mornings when you feel tired, when the world feels heavy, when the path ahead seems unclear. In fact, those are the mornings when this affirmation is most powerful. On those days, to say, "I welcome this day without resistance," is an act of quiet bravery. It is declaring that no matter what comes, you will not add extra suffering by fighting against the reality in front of you. When you carry this practice into your day, you will notice that life begins to feel lighter. Even when challenges arise, they do not weigh you down as before. You meet them as you would meet a passing traveler, acknowledging them, perhaps learning from them, but not letting them take up permanent space in your mind. You realize that resistance was never protecting you. It was only making your journey harder. So, tomorrow morning and every morning after, give yourself this gift. Before your mind fills with plans, problems, and expectations, pause. Take that first conscious breath. Let your shoulders soften. Feel the day as it is, not as you wish it to be. And in that stillness, say to yourself, "I welcome this day without resistance." Then step into the flow of life, knowing that whatever comes, you can meet it with an open heart. I release yesterday. I begin anew. When you wake up each morning, the past often tries to wake up with you. It slips into your thoughts before your eyes are even fully open, replaying conversations, mistakes, regrets, or missed chances. It whispers reminders of what you failed to do yesterday, of the words you wish you had said differently, of the doors you believe are now closed forever. But in Buddhism, the truth is clear. The past is a dream that no longer exists. It is only real when you breathe life into it by carrying it forward in your mind. When you begin the day by telling yourself, "I release yesterday, I begin anew," you are not pretending the past never happened, nor are you denying the lessons it gave you. Instead, you are making the conscious choice to stop living in a story that is already over. You are returning to the only time that truly belongs to you this moment. The Buddha taught that clinging to the past is one of the greatest causes of suffering. We grasp old experiences as if they can still be shaped, as if holding them tighter will rewrite their ending. But the more we grip, the more we bleed. Imagine you are holding a handful of sand. If you clutch it tightly, it spills between your fingers, leaving you frustrated and empty-handed. If you hold it gently, without force, it rests peacefully in your palm until the wind naturally carries it away. Your past is that sand. The more tightly you try to control it, the more it controls you. Letting go does not mean erasing. It means loosening your grip so your heart can heal. Every morning is an invitation to start over, no matter how heavy yesterday felt. The sun does not rise carrying the darkness of the night before. It begins again, painting the sky with new colors. In the same way, you are not bound to the storms that passed through your life yesterday. You are allowed to greet the day with lightness, to breathe without the weight of old memories pressing on your chest. When you wake and speak this affirmation, pause for a few breaths. Feel the air fill your lungs. As you exhale, imagine your breath carrying away the heaviness of the past, each sigh releasing a little more of what you no longer need to hold. If yesterday brought you joy, be grateful for it, but let it remain where it belongs, behind you. If it brought you pain, honor the lesson, but do not invite the suffering into your new day. Buddhism reminds us that life is a river in constant motion. The water that touched your skin yesterday is not the same water that flows past you today. You cannot step into the same river twice, not because the water changes alone, but because you have changed too. By releasing yesterday, you are not only freeing the past, you are freeing yourself to meet this new version of who you are without the shadows of who you were. The practice of beginning anew is not about perfection. You may find old thoughts creeping back during the day. You may catch yourself replaying an argument or regretting an action. When that happens, return to the affirmation gently. I release yesterday. I begin anew. Remind yourself that the past is a place for learning, not living. Even if you have to repeat this 100 times in a single day, each repetition is a small act of freedom. Think of a tree in autumn. When its leaves turn brown and brittle, the tree does not cling to them in fear of being bare. It lets them fall because it knows spring will bring new life. You, too, must trust that by releasing what has served its time, you create space for what is meant to bloom. Each morning is your spring. Each moment you choose to let go, you make room for peace. Sometimes we carry yesterday's weight because we believe it defines us. We tell ourselves, I am this way because of what happened to me. But you are not your past. You are the awareness that sees it, learns from it, and chooses what to do now. The events of yesterday are chapters in your story, but they are not the ink in your pen today. You can write differently. You can choose a new direction. Letting go is also an act of kindness toward yourself. If a friend came to you burdened by regret, you would not tell them to keep holding it until it crushed them. You would comfort them, remind them they have a chance to make things right today, and encourage them to move forward. Why should you not offer yourself the same compassion? So, tomorrow morning, when your eyes open and the world greets you again, let your first thought be this: I release yesterday. I begin anew. Feel the truth of it in your body. Imagine yesterday as a heavy coat you set down by the door, choosing instead to step into the day with lightness. Walk forward with an uncluttered heart. Let the past rest where it belongs behind you, and meet the gift of this moment with open hands and a quiet mind. I am a traveler, not a prisoner of the path. When the morning sun rises and spills its first light across your face, remember this: you are not a prisoner bound to a single road. You are a traveler in this vast landscape of life, free to choose how you walk, where you rest, and what burdens you leave behind. Yet most people begin their day chained not by iron, but by invisible ropes woven from yesterday's mistakes, tomorrow's fears, and the heavy expectations of the world. They wake not to live, but to serve their own captivity. In Buddhism, the journey is more important than the destination. The Buddha taught that life is not a straight path to somewhere else. It is the path itself that matters. But when you forget this, you turn your journey into a prison. You start walking with your head down, shackled by thoughts of, "I have no choice," or "This is just the way things are." You stop seeing the flowers by the roadside, the curve of the hills, the gentle breeze against your skin. You begin to think you must walk only where others have walked before, following a map you never drew. This affirmation, "I am a traveler, not a prisoner of the path," is your reminder each morning that you are free to step out of the mental walls you have built. Freedom does not mean abandoning all responsibilities or wandering aimlessly without care. It means knowing that no single choice, no single mistake, and no single chapter of your life can trap you unless you hand it the key to your mind. Think of the many times you've told yourself, "I can't change my life because of what I've been through." That is the voice of the prisoner. The traveler says, "What I've been through has prepared me for the road ahead." The prisoner waits for the gate to open. The traveler realizes there was never a gate at all, only a belief in one. When you wake and speak this affirmation, imagine your life as a wide, open landscape. See the path beneath your feet, but also notice the countless other paths stretching into the horizon. Some lead through mountains, some through forests, some along rivers, and some across open plains. As a traveler, you can choose which way to go, and you can change your mind if the road no longer serves you. In truth, you are not confined to one path simply because you started there. Buddhism often speaks of impermanence, the truth that nothing remains the same forever. This includes the road you walk. Just because the path was rocky yesterday does not mean it will be rocky today. Just because it was filled with fog before does not mean the sky will not clear now. The prison is thinking that yesterday's road is all there will ever be. The freedom is seeing that each step is a new chance to meet the journey differently. A traveler also knows that the path itself is the teacher. Every twist, every stone, every sudden turn holds a lesson. The hard climbs build your strength. The quiet valleys teach you rest. The crossroads test your judgment. The storms teach you patience. Even the wrong turns are not wasted, for they show you the map of where not to go again. The prisoner resents these lessons. The traveler collects them like precious stones, knowing they will guide them when the road grows dark. To live as a traveler, you must learn the art of walking lightly. This means not carrying the unnecessary weight of grudges, regrets, or fears. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock is an old memory. You refuse to let go of the insult you replay, the opportunity you missed, the time someone hurt you. The more rocks you carry, the slower and more painful your journey becomes. A traveler opens the bag each morning and asks, "Do I really need to carry this today?" More often than not, the answer is no. When you release the weight, you discover a new kind of movement. Your steps become lighter, your eyes brighter, your heart more open. You start to notice things you never saw before: the sound of birds, the warmth of the sun, the way the morning air feels alive against your skin. You begin to see the world as it is, not as your prison cell once showed it to you. Another truth the traveler understands is that comparison is another form of captivity. If you spend your journey constantly looking at the roads others are walking, wishing you had their scenery, their speed, their companions, you will stumble on your own path. The prisoner walks, looking over their shoulder, measuring themselves against someone else's journey. The traveler keeps their gaze on their own steps, knowing that each road is meant for the one walking it. The Buddha once said, "It is better to travel well than to arrive." This is not to say destinations are meaningless, but that arriving without truly living the journey is an empty victory. Many chase a goal so hard that when they reach it, they feel no joy, because they never learned to live in the steps that led them there. The traveler treasures each step because they know it will never come again. When you rise tomorrow morning, repeat to yourself, "I am a traveler, not a prisoner of the path." Say it slowly, breathing with each word. As you breathe in, feel the air filling you with possibility. As you breathe out, release the tightness of yesterday's chains. Picture the road ahead as open and inviting, even if you cannot see its end. Let your heart be curious, not fearful, about what lies beyond the next turn. And when obstacles come, as they always will, remember that the traveler sees them as part of the road, not a dead end. A fallen tree is not a wall. It is an invitation to climb, to detour, or to rest in its shade before continuing. The rain is not a curse. It is the sky's way of refreshing the earth and cooling your journey. The prison mindset says, "This is the end." The traveler's heart says, "This is simply the next part of my walk." Over time, you will notice that this way of seeing life changes everything. You will stop feeling trapped by your circumstances because you will understand that you are always free to take the next step in a new direction. You will stop waiting for permission to live differently because you will see that no one else is holding the keys to your journey. And you will stop fearing change because you will know that every traveler is changed by the road and that this is a gift, not a loss. So walk today with the heart of a traveler. See the beauty in the bends, the meaning in the climbs, and the peace in the pauses. Release the need to rush to an ending and instead savor the story being written with each step. For you were never meant to be a prisoner of the path, you were meant to be its joyful, mindful companion. And when you live this way, you will realize that every morning is not just another day on the road, but another chance to truly journey through the miracle of being alive. If you want, I can now move directly to Lesson 25 in the same long, flowing, 15:0 character style, so your entire series is consistent without gaps. Do you want me to continue? You said. Now, 25. Write more long. Write in 15,000 characters. ChatGPT said, "All right, I'll create Lesson 25 in the same peaceful, long-form, Buddhist-inspired style, around 15:0 characters, continuing exactly as your earlier lessons. I release yesterday, so today can be free." When the first light of morning brushes against your eyelids and you stir from sleep, you carry with you more than just the rest your body received. Without realizing it, you also carry the residue of yesterday, its words, its failures, its arguments, its regrets. The mind, like a careful archivist, stores every moment, and when we wake, it eagerly offers us the files. Remember what he said to you. Remember how you made that mistake. Remember how you should have done better. This is how yesterday tries to invade today. It does not come as a gentle memory, but as a shadow that lingers, dulling the colors of the present. In Buddhism, the teaching is clear. Clinging to the past is a form of suffering. The Buddha taught that nothing is permanent, that every moment is born and dies within the breath. Yet, we resist this truth. We keep the past alive in our minds, replaying its scenes as if our suffering will somehow rewrite them. We trap ourselves in old arguments, past embarrassments, and missed chances, and in doing so, we allow yesterday to live inside today's heart. When you wake each morning and whisper to yourself, "I release yesterday, so today can be free," you are practicing a radical kind of compassion for yourself. You are acknowledging that you cannot rewrite what has already been written, but you can stop rereading it every morning. You are telling your mind that today is a page untouched by ink, and you will not let the blot of yesterday's mistakes stain it before you even begin. This is not denial. Letting go is not pretending the past never happened. It is simply choosing not to chain yourself to what you cannot change. Imagine standing in a flowing river. The water that has passed your knees is already gone. You can reach for it, you can grasp at it desperately, but you will only splash and stir mud. The present flows to you, fresh and clear, only when your hands are open to receive it. Each morning, before your feet touch the floor, pause and notice your breath. Let the inhale fill you like the dawn fills the sky. Let the exhale carry out the weight of yesterday. With each breath, picture the people, events, and mistakes you still carry, and see them dissolving into mist. Not pushed away with force, but released gently, like a bird you've been holding too tightly. There is peace in remembering that you are not yesterday's mistakes, nor yesterday's victories. You are this breath. You are this moment. Every sunrise is a small rebirth, and when you open your eyes, you are invited to begin again. The regret that seemed so sharp last night may soften in the light of morning. The anger that felt so necessary yesterday may reveal itself as a burden you no longer wish to carry. Letting go also means forgiving yourself, not because you deserve an escape from accountability, but because carrying the whip of self-punishment every day is not the same as growing wiser. You cannot build a peaceful today if your hands are busy tearing down yesterday. The Buddha taught that holding on to anger or regret is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You are the one who gets burned. Some mornings, the past will feel heavier than others. Old wounds may bleed again in your memory. On those days, speak your affirmations slowly. I release yesterday, so today can be free. Say it until your mind loosens its grip. Say it until the weight begins to shift. Even if the past tries to return during the day, you can return to your breath, to this reminder, as many times as needed. The practice is not in perfect forgetting, it is in persistent releasing. You may find that when you release yesterday, today opens itself to you in ways you never noticed before. The taste of your tea feels richer. The sunlight through your window looks softer. The sound of birds becomes music instead of background noise. The mind that is free from the chains of yesterday can see beauty in the smallest things. And here lies the quiet power of this affirmation. Peace is not found in fixing everything that has already happened. It is found in letting go of the idea that you must. So tomorrow, when you wake, and your mind reaches for the past like a habit, remind it gently, that was then, this is now. I release yesterday, so today can be free. And with that, step into the gift of a day untouched, ready to be lived fully, with a heart unburdened and a mind clear as the morning sky. When we began this journey, it was with a single intention to greet each morning not as an accident, but as an awakening. Every lesson, every affirmation has been a small seed planted in the fertile soil of your awareness. Some of those seeds will sprout quickly, giving you moments of sudden clarity, sudden peace. Others will take time, hidden beneath the surface, quietly growing roots before you even notice their presence. That is the way of true change. It unfolds not in haste, but in stillness. Each morning you rise, you have a choice. You can carry the weight of yesterday's regrets, the fog of tomorrow's worries, and stumble through the day half asleep. Or you can step into the light with the knowledge that this moment is fresh, untouched, and entirely yours to shape. These lessons were never meant to be words you only read, they are meant to be lived, spoken aloud, breathed into your mornings, carried in your heart like a compass when the day becomes heavy. There will be days when you forget, days when the noise of life swallows your intentions, days when anger, fear, or doubt tighten their grip. Do not mistake those days for failure. They are simply reminders to return to your breath, to your stillness, to the truth that you are not bound to yesterday, nor chained to the next hour. You are free, here, now. Buddhism teaches us that enlightenment is not a distant mountaintop. It is the simple act of waking up to this moment, again and again, even when we've drifted away. It is a lifetime of returning, of choosing peace over chaos, presence over distraction, compassion over judgment. And so, as you close this chapter, do not see it as an ending, but as an invitation to meet the dawn with open hands and a steady heart, to let each morning be your teacher, to walk gently, to speak kindly, to forgive often, to remember that the life you seek is not waiting somewhere in the future, it is unfolding beneath your feet with every step you take in awareness. You are the sunrise, you are the breath, you are the quiet strength that no storm can take. Live this truth each morning, and you will find that the world around you begins to change, not because it has grown softer, but because you have grown unshakable. Wake gently, live fully, and remember every morning is a chance to begin again.